What's up, everyone? Welcome to the podcast. The show dedicated to talking about all the poggers things in life, like music, content creation, and video games. My wife. What's up?
0.2 seconds in is the timestamp.
Yeah,
00 colon
W.
Yeah, 00. Yeah.
Yep. What's up, man? How you doing?
Oh, just dandy. I'm going to Chicago.
Chicago.
For the first time ever.
The Bears.
Bulls.
Bulls.
Yeah, so we're crossing off Illinois off of our list. I don't know if we're going anywhere else nearby. Usually, because we're trying to cross off all 50 states.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
So yeah, we're making any excuses we can get to go to different places. We can. We've been to like most of the West Coast. We've been to Hawaii. We've been to a good chunk of the East Coast together. So it's basically like all the rectangles in the middle.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we've also we haven't been to Texas together, but we've been to Arizona, Nevada, Oklahoma. So a few of the rectangles.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're gonna go see the Indiana Fever.
The Fever, yeah.
Yeah, because my wife is a big Caitlin Clark fan. Which I'm sure is going to be real divisive amongst the crowd. I'm sure a lot of people have lots of opinions about Caitlin Clark and the fucking WNBA. But
bro,
listen, fucking happy wife, happy life. Yo, she's 6 feet tall. Shit.
Caitlin Clark, damn.
Yeah, she get in my face,
bro.
She's hurt right now. No, she's not hurt right now. Don't fucking tell me that. She played yesterday.
Damn, bro. Hot Google that right quick.
Caitlin Clark hurt.
Could you imagine?
Right now. Wait. What do you mean? Are you fucking kidding me? Was that in the game yesterday?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Oh my god.
Well, we're going to Chicago a different week.
Yeah, but I gotta text my wife. She's gonna be.
Uh-oh. Damn.
God, dude. Well,
fucking... I mean, I'll say I definitely got sucked into the algorithm, the shorts algorithm of all the Caitlin Clark highlights. I'm a Caitlin Clark fan, and I've never seen a WNBA game in my life. I haven't seen an NBA game in probably 10 to 20 years. So, but the shorts go crazy.
Yeah, I haven't actually seen any of the shorts. That's all on my wife's algorithm. But we've just watched the games.
Yeah.
So
that's dope.
I don't know.
Love it.
It's
hell yeah. How long are you gonna be gone?
A few days.
Couple of days. That's dope.
Yeah, a few days. Not super long, but
that's cool, man.
It's honestly like good though, because I'm like in another like gaming slump. But we can talk about that a little bit later. I guess there's been some news.
Should we just crack straight into it?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So on my side of the fence, I've been bouncing around. I've been playing some Scum, been playing some Tarkov. I'm pretty much like every day, either doing a couple hours of it or full days of Tarkov, and then doing some Scum, doing the finals. I actually did an ad for Space Marine 2, which every time I get into the Warhammer universe at all, I love it. I need like a 12 season run HBO show. Like I need to be in this lore. It seems so sick. So that was one of those ads where like you actually just genuinely have fun the whole time. So we played a little bit of Space Marine with Deadly, and like that game is sick. Like for as far as like third person like action shooter games, you know what I mean? It's very like Gears of War, reminiscent of Gears of War with how like heavy everything is, and the freaking Warhammer universe is just sick. So we've been bouncing around.
I just pulled up on YouTube. I haven't seen anything really. The first thing I see is a giant fucking axe, dude. Whoa.
Yeah.
So it's not a shooter, or I'm sure there are guns.
Have you ever? Yeah, there's guns for sure. Have you ever gotten like tiptoed into the rabbit hole of Warhammer?
We talked about this previously.
Probably.
I don't remember.
Certainly we have. We've talked about all gaming things.
No, I think I talked about my buddy Brennan, who I used to play Magic with him, and you know, like we would geek out on some real nerd shit until he would bust out the Warhammer figures and start fucking like painting with a goddamn jeweler's fucking microscope. And I'm just like, okay, well, you lost me now, bud.
Dude, I've dabbled a little bit. Like I've watched a couple hour-long video essays on the lore of it. It's just sick. I'm not interested in buying the figurines or painting them or playing the tabletop game, but I love the lore.
I'm sure it's fun. I'm sure it's fun as hell.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's awesome.
And I love the like multimedia that the game has become. Because obviously I think it was kind of the tabletop thing for a long time. There's tons of games now, like Dark Tide I played a little bit of, Space Marine, this one's Space Marine 2. We just need that medium to cross into like HBO shows. Because I don't just want a movie. These days, movies feel more like, we're gonna get to Tarkov, but this is our podcast, okay? Movies feel like they do need an anime. That would actually go hard too. Holy shit. Movies feel like so much, almost like more fan service now. It's like we have to get Dwayne The Rock Johnson to play one of the Space Marines. We have to get, I can't think of it, Chris Evans to play one. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I want the HBO show where like nobody is known. Henry Cavill is like a huge nerd. He's thought about doing it, but like I just want like 8 seasons of like gritty, dark TVMA, 40K. That's what I need.
Mech suits just fucking.
Yes, dude. Wait.
Yeah, dude. Bunch of Cruff daddies.
Dude, that's the
Metal Daddy. Oh shit.
Metal Daddy. That's the intro right there. Anyways, so that would be sick. It's pretty cool. Warhammer stuff's pretty cool.
There's something about, and this is like a completely subjective take. I'm not like making any like real value judgments or anything. Like I'm sure it's great. There's just something about vampire stuff.
Yep.
Zombie stuff.
Yep.
Mech suit stuff. Power armor stuff.
Yeah.
That I just am like, I don't want
for sure.
I don't even want to look at it.
I get that. I get that.
This
is one of those. This is one of those things where it's like Warhammer has been around long enough that like Warhammer is the impetus for that becoming a cliche. Like I'm sure that a lot of like the Fallout, like power armor stuff was like inspired by a lot of Warhammer. Like Warhammer's been around for forever, so it's just existed long enough for its own genre to become a cliche, and then people to be like, "Oh, do we need more mech stuff?" And it's like, this is the mech stuff. This is the original power armor type shit. But I understand what you're saying. As someone coming into like the thing, it's like, okay, we've seen this a lot before. I love when universes have like an unnecessary amount of lore, like truly you would never need to like get into the deep corners of like this random obscure chaos demon's motivations for why but it's all there. And I just like love it.
Like 50 Shades of Grey.
Exactly like 50 Shades of Grey. Yep. Lots of lore there.
Do you know where that came from?
Oh, hold on. 50 Shades of Grey.
Speaking of vampires.
50 Shades of Grey was Twilight fan fiction.
Mm-hmm.
And Twilight, hold on. What was the Twilight? I heard this. I don't know if this is true, but 50 Shades of Grey was Twilight fan fiction. Twilight was originally inspired by the band My Chemical Romance. Like it was almost like fan fiction about the band My Chemical Romance. And My Chemical Romance, Gerard Way started My Chemical Romance because of like he like lost some of his family in like 9/11. Like I've seen basically like 9/11 caused 50 Shades of Grey.
Bro, I was like doing a joke.
I don't know if this is true, but I've heard
I was
that.
doing a joke meme callback to the vampire stuff, and you actually knew more. There was way more lore than I thought, actually. I was right by accident.
Yeah. Crazy.
Well,
crazy stuff.
Another thing we can blame Osama bin Laden for.
Hey, I thought My Chemical Romance was sick. I loved MCR. Twilight and 50 Shades you can take or leave.
I was just working on I'm making moves with the video that I've been working on for 4.5 years. Obviously I'm going to be gone for a bit, but when I come back, I have plans to really get working on it.
Making moves.
But I literally just wrote a section about it that was a reference to, let me just search for it. I had to pull up the E-Bombs world circa 2002.
Oh my god.
And on the same page there was a movie review for The Matrix Reloaded. Right next to watch monkey sticks finger in butt and passes out video. Right next to beat level 5 in this volleyball game and you get to play topless. Right next to the game that says if punch out Osama. The game is called War on Terrorism. The Flash game, everybody's favorite Flash game, War on Terrorism.
I remember, dude, what was the site? Miniclip.com? I remember some Flash games where like you could like George Bush and Al Gore would fight. Oh my god, bro. What a time to be alive.
Dude, Newgrounds. There's a period.
Newgrounds.
There's a period where I go full blown, you might be a 90s kid if.
Oh, yeah.
Constantly like having to interrupt myself being like, we're so off topic here, but it doesn't fucking matter.
No.
Yeah.
I fall for that. Like one half of my brain thinks nostalgia is like the thief of joy. Like it's like rot for our brains. But then the other half of me is like every time they have like the slow, moody music and it shows like you'll remember this if you were a 90s kid, I get sucked in every time, dude. And I'm like, oh, Blockbuster really was so sick.
I literally, and the whole section ends off with a reference to Blockbuster. I literally say that the latest what do they call it? Not edition, not episode. The latest printed version, monthly version of issue of Game Informer magazine just announced that GTA Vice City was out. So you better fucking beg your mom to take you to Blockbuster before anyone else gets all the rest of the copies.
God, bro.
And then I talk about a bunch of classic YouTube videos, brother. Do you remember Fenton? Remember that video? Fenton.
Wait,
Fenton.
Maybe that sounds so familiar.
It's like all you see. Okay, all you see in the video is like an empty field. There's a bunch of deer in like a field, and the guy's just filming it. And you hear, Fenton! And the guy doesn't even move the camera. Fenton! And then all of a sudden, a dog runs on in frame. The deer scatter. A dude is chasing behind the dog. Fenton! Oh, bro. God.
Do you remember what was the video of all the animals and they were overdubbed? It was the squirrels. Alan. Oh, yeah. Bro. What a time to be alive. Steve. Yeah, that's not Alan. That's Steve. Bro, I remember showing that video to my dad and like I'd never seen him laugh so hard. Like that was the original like Facebook meme you show your dad and you know he's going to laugh at. That video, he lost his mind. Yeah, Happy Tree Friends, Homestar Runner, all of it, bro.
Homestar Runner was, when I looked at like most popular websites of like, you know, insert year here, it was like a bunch of massive, like, you know, fucking Yahoo, AOL.com, MSN.com, fucking blah, 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 HomestarRunner.com. Yep. It's like, wow.
Crazy. Wild stuff. All right. Anyways, so we've been playing other games. Cool beans. Having a good time. Living and laughing and loving. Tarkov had some announcements. First of all, they on June 26th, a couple days ago, they released the updated roadmap, which was kind of sick because the last roadmap they gave, they did the first 2 patches and it had everything that was on the roadmap and it was at the time they were supposed to be. And then at the bottom of the old roadmap, it said, we're going to release an updated version of the roadmap in June 26th. We get an updated version of the roadmap. So we're like, they're crushing, right? They're crushing. The July patch kind of got trimmed down from the old roadmap to the new roadmap. And one of the new things that was added was just the words hardcore wipe. And obviously, like, the internet just went crazy because what does that mean? Now, we don't know.
It's the opposite of amateur softcore wipe.
Exactly. We're talking hardcore wipe here.
We're talking BDSM wipe.
Yes, bro.
Speaking of 50 Shades of Grey, holy God. Fucking
and the link to Tarkov, remember the BDSM Tagilla? They were preparing us. From the Labyrinth event, he had that mask on. He was into it, bro. He was trying.
Leather daddy, fucking Tagilla's gonna chase after you with assless chaps.
I would love that actually. Chassless apps. Anyways, so hardcore wipe, and then and then Nikita tweeted something. And you can tell like in the background it said hardcore. So for like 5 days, it was just like, what does that mean? What does a hardcore wipe mean? In the past, he had seemed pretty like into the idea that Pesley brought up, which is like, would it be cool to like have separate servers that was like a hardcore? Like a lot of people do the hardcore challenge. Like, you know, it'd be cool if you could kind of like elect to hop in and just play with other people. And Nikita was like, oh, that'd be kind of cool. So everybody was like, is it that? Is it like a forced hardcore wipe? Like what's going on? What does it mean? So they just let us simmer on it for like 4 or 5 days, which is classic, right? Then they released an image, and it was like some initial details of the hardcore wipe. And it listed off, the flea market is completely disabled. The amount of items you need to build hideout zones are increased. You need more items. The hideout zones don't require found and raid items anymore. Thank God. Limited hideout ammo crafts, and reduce spawn chance of rare loot. So those were the 5 things on the picture. And then the picture looked like it was like one of 3 pages, but we only got the 1 page. And everybody was like, is there more? You know, obviously speculation goes crazy. So then we had that for like a whole day where it was like, okay. That was the biggest thing people were speculating was we were going to get a no flea market wipe. Full taken out. But now the hideout zones are going to be harder, limited ammo crafts, and the rare loot is going to be even rarer. So as you can expect, everybody has been like super reasonable, and the discussion online has been like really positive and uplifting, and it's all been great. Totally calm. It's interesting because no, go ahead. You go ahead.
Did they say? I might have missed it. Did they say definitively whether or not it like was the wipe hardcore for everyone?
They have not definitively said that, but the more they talk about it, and some of the like, some people responded, and like Apple and some of the community managers responded. Some of the community managers have been responding to people in the official Discord, and all of it seems very like this is not optional. I've been telling people though, it's like even that is like they're intentionally being vague so that you get mad. So if you're mad, you're doing them a service by marketing their game. So who knows? But the more it seems like it's not. So at first it was like, that's really interesting. A no flea market wipe. Obviously, some section of people have wanted that for a really long time. Some section of the, kind of like back in my day, I don't even really mean that offensively, but a lot of the back in my day, Tarkov people have been like, Tarkov was never the same after they added the flea. My hesitations for it are like, I've been saying for probably the better part of a year now, I actually don't care whether they keep or take the flea. Like I'm down either way. I would just hope that they would do it in an elegant way because as you and me have stated many times, they added the flea in like 2019, I believe 2019, 2020. And a lot has happened to the game since then. A lot of quests have been introduced under the guise of us having the flea. A lot of the hideout zones have been altered or added under the guise of us having the flea. I'm pretty sure the flea market was added the same wipe the hideout was added. So
I think it came earlier, but
the flea came first. Maybe you're right.
Yeah.
But basically what I'm trying to say is we've never had the hideout and no flea. So people are like, oh, let's just go back to when there was no flea. It's like, oh man, the hideout really complicates that because especially now that we've had 5 or 6 years of hideout zones being added, like you need 275 bolts to max your hideout. And in the thing, it's saying we're increasing the requirements for each zone.
Yeah.
So no flea. You know what I mean? It's like, once again, I'm not saying it's going to be bad. I'm not saying it's going to be good. But my thing has always been, it's like the flea is so in the DNA of the game now. If they want to take it away, cool. Are they going to do that elegantly where they update a lot of these things? This image tells me the exact opposite is happening, that they're actually making some of those problems worse in addition to removing the flea. So we'll see. So, you know, somebody was bringing up some really good points in my chat today where it was like, well, why do you want to upgrade most of the hideout zones? And it's like, oh, so I can craft stuff. Okay, so you're going to spend weeks getting all the bolts and the nuts and everything to get workbench level 3. Then every time you go to craft something, what you do right now is you buy all the things you need to craft it off the flea. But now you're going to have to, so it's like, are you even going to build workbench level 3? Because am I going to have all those things on hand? Like you're like most of the crafts are, you know, you're definitely not going to be able to like farm crafts. Like a lot of people like try to get max crafting just by like, but now you're going to need everything to get everything. So it's going to be
okay. So flea market came out November 2018.
Damn.
Hideout. Wait, that can't be right.
I don't think that can be right. I think I was playing the game for like 6 months to a year before flea market came out.
Yeah, like wait. That doesn't make any sense. I'm looking at the fucking the OG changelog. November 2018.
It could be.
How is November 2018 0.10.5? What? That can't be right.
I don't think so.
Oh, yes, it can. Because I started playing in November 2017. So I started playing in like March of 2018.
I started playing in summer of 2018 and it was 0.9. I remember it being 0.9. They had just added Rashala. Okay, so that does make sense.
So yeah, flea market, November 2018. Hideout, October 2019. It was almost a year later.
A year later. Okay, yeah. So we've literally never had the hideout with the flea. So I'm interested to see how those things interact with each other. Maybe they, you know, because they said they put here, reduce the spawn chance of rare loot. Maybe they increase the spawn chance of like hideout related loot, or maybe they didn't increase that at all, but maybe just like now longer lasting into the wipe. Because when you think about it, like longer into the wipe, our filing cabinet's going to be valuable and jacket's going to be valuable. Like maybe it could be the complete opposite of what I think. It could be like the sickest thing ever, that more things have value, more lootable containers are worth looting, and you get kind of the little dopamine high from different things. Because I do like that about Tarkov, where if you have the ability to craft a specific thing, because of you in your situation, finding a defuel might be really valuable to you because you're like, with this defuel, that's the last thing I need to craft some 995. Whereas to another player, they don't even have workbench, so that defuel is kind of worthless to them. I like the idea of like the dopamine hit from loot doesn't just have to come from like Bitcoin equals good, LedX equals good. It can come from like, oh, I need this for this thing I'm doing. So maybe it's great. You know what I mean? I don't want to be a Debbie Downer. I'm just concerned that like this seems like it's happening super fast, right? Like Nikita was always, we're never get rid of the flea. Like never, shut up, stop asking. We're never getting rid of the flea. And there wasn't even supposed to be a wipe right now. And it was supposed to just be, so like the fact that in such a short amount of time, we've gone from like, actually we're wiping, actually it's going to be hardcore, actually we're going to do a bunch of stuff we never said we're going to do. That makes my gut reaction like, oh no, they're not thinking it through. They're just going to like type flea market equals off and then be done with it. But I want to give them the benefit of the doubt. And maybe they've been planning to do like a big event like this for like 2 years and we just didn't know, right? Who knows? But my gut is like, oh, they're just going to turn it off and you know what I mean? But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's not maybe it's sick. Anyways, so we were like, okay, is there more though? Because it looks like there's more and whatever. So that was yesterday. They released that picture. Today at like 2 p.m., they released another picture. And now this is page 2 of 3. So now what we thought was right, which is like, okay, there's going to be 3 pages of changes and they're just releasing them slowly, I guess, so that we can all yell at each other. So this is page 2 of 3. These are more hardcore wipe. Restricted location accessibility. Most of the locations will only be accessible through transitions from appropriate locations. That, to me, well, I'll read them all and then we'll come back. Secure container restrictions. Cannot store ammo, currency, and certain medicines in secure container. Limited trader interaction. Reduce the range of available medicine, weapons, and ammo and armor from traders. And reduce item selling price and increase item purchase price. So this is page 2. The transit one for me is a big sticking point. Like I'm always been a guy that will happily eat my words, right? I thought Arc Raiders was going to be ass. It was great. I'll happily eat my words. This to me is hot buns. Like when you get on that string of raids, all of the Peacekeeper, and you need to do 11 shoreline quests in a row. If every time I want to do a shoreline quest, I have to go to customs and extract to shoreline through customs, that's going to be ass. That's going to be ass.
Yeah. I mean, they can't, there's no possible way they don't, but see, this is like a temporary thing, asterisk, right? You know, unless everybody loves it and then they're just going to pivot, you know, or something, I guess. Like, otherwise, what's the point of doing this?
We talked about
the justification for all these changes is almost always been, well, it's a beta and they're just testing to get information. And it's like, you don't do that right before, you know, like an hour before your wedding, you don't ask your wife, you know,
you don't like go on, you don't each go on dates to make sure you like, you know what I mean? That's 100%. That's a great analogy because that's 100% like this. That's exactly what it feels like. That's such a great analogy because people keep hitting me with the like, it's a beta, bro. It's a beta. And it's like, it's not, is a beta 24 hours before the 1.0 launch? Like technically, but it's not, right? Like, it's like, and so it's a beta. What I'm saying is it's been a beta for 7 years and we've been like, change it up, break stuff, do weird shit. And we talked about this during the last wipe that happened in December. The first 2 weeks of the wipe, the flea market were disabled. And in January, I was like, I love like that they were trying weird shit. And I literally said, it's too bad they don't have time to do more stuff like this. I wish they had been doing this all along. So it's super weird to me. Maybe they have their reasons, but it's super weird to me that so close to the finish line, we're not dating anymore, right? Like they had the opportunity to do this while we were dating. We got engaged. We are like on the plane to the destination wedding. Families in town.
And your wife is like, hey, you ever thought about like maybe having a threesome with your buddy Steve? And you're like,
exactly.
I mean, like, could be fun,
bro.
but
exactly.
It's a little late to dabble.
Exactly. So that's what I'm confused by, but like I'm so intrigued. Like the first page was basically like, hey, we're going to do a wipe without the flea. And at first I was like, yeah, okay, like let's do it. That's a hardcore wipe. I told Velian this after I read this second page. I was like, I hate every one of these things. And in a weird way, that makes me more excited for the wipe. Because if they're going to do like a fuck it, we ball wipe, ball, like change everything, right? So like, I hate each of these things individually.
Yeah, invert your mouse settings for everyone. Fuck it.
That's exactly what I'm saying. I hate each of these things, but I'm like, well, if we're going to do one last hurrah before 1.0, then go all the way. I might not play a lot this wipe, but ball. Anyways, so that my biggest concern is that, because this is the verbiage, most of the locations will only be accessible through the transition from appropriate locations, not some. So that makes me think it's like factory, customs, and woods are going to be the only maps you're going to be able to queue in for the whole goddamn wipe. And then you just got to get, if
it'll be like factory and woods, and you get to customs by leaving factory.
If that's the case, I probably won't do any quests. Like that is the, like, I like a lot of I like the idea of what they're doing with a lot of this stuff, even if it's not my personal flavor. That to me, yeah, Ground Zero will for sure be one. That's actually very true. That to me is like the opposite. That's like the number one complaint in Tarkov outside of like cheaters. Like the number one complaint from like normal people, not people who are like chronically online. The number one complaint is the queue times, bro. Like I've been playing a lot of streets because it was the only marked room I had, marked key, and they buffed the marked keys. Routinely 8-minute queues. Like routinely 8-minute queues. So like if we're having long queues and my first whole raid is not a real raid, like my goal is to just get out of this raid as soon as possible, to get in another queue, and most of the important shit I have on me I can't keep in my secure container. So if I die on customs to a guy extract camping the transit, I lose all that ammo, I lose all that, like, so that's the thing for me. The transition only to get to a lot of the maps has my feathers a little ruffled, if I'm gonna be honest.
I have a few things that come to mind here.
Okay.
Let me just paint a picture of like a hypothetical here.
Yes. Okay.
Imagine the number of servers are turned up 10x.
Okay.
Imagine all of the changes that you just went over with like the page 1 of 3 and 2 of 3.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine that like 90% of the quests have the requirements reduced by 90%.
Mm-hmm.
So rather than 10 things, it's like one thing.
Yep. Yep.
A bunch of like map specific things, just make them fucking generic or whatever.
Yep.
And then make it so that there's like a 5-minute window where on a given server you can spawn in. If there's more servers in a big window, then that means your queue time should be infinitely larger, right? Because it's not a 30-second window. It's not like it's looking for 7 other people to start a game. It's find a game that has one slot open, and it could even be like, let's say someone dies in the first minute. Well, now you can spawn into that map, or whatever. And that also would reduce spawn fight issues. And most of the raids would be a little bit more dead, which I prefer. Again, like I haven't played in 2 years, so I don't know what the vibe is now, but I remember when the game felt kind of desolate.
Yes.
That allowed you to really get immersed and take care of the quests and play it slowly, as opposed to like spawn in, insta jiggle peek a corner, head tap, go throw flash grenades to see if the boss is there. Nope, get out. It's like it was never raids like that. It was always, all right, I'm going in, I need to go across the river, I need to stop at the trunk of the car, I'm going to go in through this side of dorms, and I'm going to go up these 2 stairs, and I'm going to make sure I clear it because I got to make the mark room to plant the thing, right? Like, then I could see there's like a world where with the right changes that they haven't talked about, tacked onto what they're doing, that it feels so much more like old Tarkov. Without some of those changes, it could be virtually unplayable,
which is the concern for a lot of people.
Because like casual players, they want to go in and they want to make progress through a couple of quests. They want to do whatever. If it's like, if you look at if there's a quest tree, right?
Yeah.
And there's virtually no way you're going to get past like the third level of the quest tree when there's 50 levels of the quest tree branching
100%.
off, then it's like, oh, progress is pointless.
Exactly. That's what I'm worried about. I'm worried about like a guy that like, well, I mean, I'm worried for myself too, because I think it's ass, but like a lot of more casual gamers in my chat have expressed concerns about like, if I've got an hour and a half, even 2 hours, and it's like I get ready and I need to go to reserve. And the only way to get to reserve is you have to start on customs and then you have to go to shoreline and then you have to go to reserve. If I got a quest on reserve and it's like I wait in a 6-minute queue, I go to customs, I die. I gear back up, I go to a 6-minute queue, I go to customs, I get to the thing, I go to another 6-minute queue, I go to shoreline, I die. I queue up again, I go to customs, I die. I queue up again, I go to customs, shoreline, I get to reserve, I die to Gluhar. I'm done, bro. Like, this is my full-time job and I would alt F4 the game at that point. You know what I mean? So it's like, now to what you said, I'm actually with you. Like I'm tracking, like I'm following the Bob Ross painting that you're painting for me there. You know what I mean? Something I hadn't considered. Like of all the things you just said, if I had to boil it down to one change that would make me less sad about all these things, is if like on page 3, it said reduced amount of PMCs per map by 50%.
Yeah.
I would be like, hold on. Because now this is starting to feel maybe like a survival game, which is kind of how it felt back in the day. Because now there's more risk, but there's like more dynamic. You and me talk about this all the time. We would listen to a lot of Sleep Token, whatever. There's more dynamic range. Right now, there's not a whole lot of dynamic range in a Tarkov raid. It's like all the actions up front, and then you leave. You either dead or you leave, right? But spawning in, looting up around your spawn, waiting to see it. You hear shots, you move to the other side, you go to dorms late because you need there. But it's like if there's so many less players and everything is more valuable, so you want to loot everything, and because there's less players, there's more loot per person to get, and maybe winning a fight would be like a big come up. You know what I mean? And then like if you want to fight, you wouldn't immediately get fourth partied by all the people that around you that hear you. Like in that world, like I've been playing a lot of Scum and like I watch a lot of DayZ, and that's something that I like about the survival games is that like PvP means so much more when it happens a little less frequently. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like streets, it's spawn, look left, PvP. And either you're the guy that died and you're like sick raid, that was a 30-second raid, or you loot that guy's loot, you're overweight and you're like, should we reset? You know what I mean? It's like if I'm a 2-man and we kill a 2-man, it's like we're kind of both overweight. So you dial that back a little bit and that PvP is more tense. It's, you know, it's more meaningful because of these other hardcore changes. Like if you just took Tarkov as it is today and you turned the amount of PMCs down by 50%, you could make an argument that it would be better, but you could also make the argument that it's like, well, you're just kind of like stopping people from doing all that's left to do in the game, late wipe, which is PvP.
Yeah.
But if with the hardcore changes, you're really extending the amount of time you have stuff to do and you can dial that, that might be really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, there's, oh god, dude, there's so many things. Like, I think that this is like a more work for them or more like design changes that are probably not going to happen. But that whole increasing the window, because then if you kind of think about it, like if you have a batch of people that are all, it becomes more like DayZ, where there's like a server, and if you could zoom out and you could see like the map of Tarkov, you would see like like 5 dots on customs, 3 dots on factory, 4 dots on woods, and that would be like the server, you know, multiple raids, you know, on one server kind of thing, and it's like that'd be
kind of sick.
That is the way that it gets kind of balanced, and what's really, I mean, if that was the case, first of all, you'd have less exfil campers, you'd have less spawn fights,
Yeah.
you'd have less of the predictable bullshit. Everybody would like every raid would be a lot more unpredictable, a lot more dynamic, a lot more like emergent kind of experiences.
Yeah.
But you also have to think there are pluses and minuses. It's like what I'm about to say is something that if you think about the implications, there's a world where it's good and there's a world where it's bad. But every single quest that isn't on the first maps is like 20 to 80% of the guide.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You want to do this quest, you need to go to this map and survive, and this map and survive, and this map and survive.
Every reserve quest is that reserve quest and half of the guide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now what that might mean is that people value their lives.
Yeah.
And they're much more likely to, peek, take some shots, get hit, and go, oh, fuck, okay, wait.
I'm out of
here.
Breath. Yeah.
They're not just going to jiggle peek because I'll be back here in 2 seconds if I die and, whatever. But it could also, especially if cheaters are a problem, if, like when labs was the worst it could possibly be.
Yeah.
That's going to be every labs and reserve and insert the last 5 maps in the order here.
Yeah, when we were doing I was trying to get the marathon achievement, and that was the achievement they added when they first added the map-to-map transits, and it was like if you transit to all the maps in one life, you get the marathon achievement. I got to the second to last map and died to a cheater, and I was like, I'm not doing that again. I literally only attempted it like 2 other times, and that was because Hambino wanted to. Like second to the last map I died to a cheater, and I was like, fuck that. You know what I mean? And so if the opportunities for stuff like that to happen. Now, obviously, we've said before, you don't drive the mechanics of your game around the fact that there will be cheaters because cheaters are unavoidable. But I just think the thesis of the transit thing, like, it would be one thing if you started on ground zero and you had to exfil to customs transit to unlock customs, and then I can spawn customs. And then I had to do one transit to factory to unlock factory. Like, that would be one thing, but having to do it every single time, that's a sticking point for me. But we'll see how it goes.
Bro, like, it's so, especially given the current quest tree. So, like, let's say, Tarkov map, I don't even know, like, what. So, terminals, not a thing, interchange, shoreline, labyrinth, lighthouse, reserve, custom. So, like, if you had to guess, let's just say it's like woods, ground zero, factory, customs.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think maybe streets? I'm wondering if it's like the northeast part of the map.
I think there's probably gonna be like 3 max, because it literally says most locations will only be accessible through transits. So I think there's like 3 available maps.
Now it could be there's a way in which, like, imagine if it was ground zero lighthouse interchange or something. That would mean that every map is accessible with one raid.
Yeah.
You start and you can, because from customs you can get to reserve, factory, interchange, or from interchange you can get streets, customs. From lighthouse you can go shoreline, reserve, woods.
Yeah.
From ground zero you can go streets. Well, I mean, I'm like basing this off of the map with a little dotted lines.
No, yeah,
like
but I see what you mean. Like, they could set it up where no map was more than 1 exfil away, potentially.
But what that would mean, there are like other, dude, my intuition's telling me that there are so many other implications here. What that would mean is that there are, I picture it like a funnel. 80% of the players are going to be on customs, which is the case in early wipe. Now it's the case always.
Yeah.
And the question is, does that also, because you just end up in another queue when you do the transit. So does that mean it's going to be an 8-minute queue for Woods, a 12-minute queue for
potentially
Lighthouse, a 17-minute queue for Reserve, and a 40-minute queue for Interchange or whatever, right? Like it just goes up and up and up because now it's looking for 10 people.
Less people, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, but dude, there's just something about like that's gonna massively imbalance the distribution of players on the maps, which fucks with scavs, which fucks with quests.
Yeah, if Reserve is 3 away and you wanted to scav Reserve, how long would you potentially have to wait to get like a full Reserve raid, you know?
Yeah, and then like if you think about, again, it's been so long, but I feel like the quest progression is like you do a massive chunk on customs, and then there's like a massive chunk on like woods and then like shoreline sprinkled in, and then there's some factory little bits here and there. And then eventually when you get like Ragman, it's all interchange. And I just wonder if it's like, so imagine all of those, you know, customs is one you can get to right away. So now it's, you got to go to customs and do all these things. Okay. Well, now, you know, you're 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, you know, 30, 40, 50 quests down the fucking tree or whatever. And now it's like, okay, well, now you're doing all of the interchange quests. And now there's a massive tree of, you know, 50 of those or whatever. And every one of them is do one raid, survive it, and then attempt it. So before, if it took you 20 raids to finish this one quest, now it's going to take you potentially 50 if you struggle to survive on customs and on interchange. Dude, like I can see this being really fucking toxic for new players, dude. Unless the raids were fucking dead, then it's a lot more reasonable. If every raid has 3 PMCs, I mean, well, then it doesn't matter.
Then it's basically a PvE game with more PvP, with a little bit of PvP. But yeah, that's a great like there's the quest Hot Delivery where you have to stash 2 gazelles, 2 comtacs, and 2 helmets on interchange. It's like, imagine, and you can't buy them off the flea. You know, imagine like finding a gazelle off a scav, then you got to put that in your backpack and haul it to customs, and then haul it to interchange, and then you die, and it's like it's just, oh man. I don't know, dude. I don't know. Yeah, like I said, I'm willing to eat my words, and I'm willing to be like, holy shit, this was better. And there's still another page, so there might be more things to talk about. But before we move on and talk about some of the other stuff on page 2, I do want to take a quick second and thank the sponsor for this episode, and that is Ridge. Ridge wallets, holy moly, these things are sexy. They're awesome, super sleek, minimal, bam! Damascus steel, the burnt Damascus is what V's got. Ridge wallets are sick, man. They have like a bajillion 5-star reviews. These wallets are insane. If you're looking for a minimalist wallet that holds a lot of cards, sometimes minimalism goes too far and it's like you can hold 1 card and, you know, $3. Sometimes wallets get too big. You got the Seinfeld wallet where he had freaking rock candy in there. Look at that. Look at all those cards.
There's 9 cards in here, and the width is literally, you know, like a wallet. Think about how many layers of leather there are in the wallet that are almost as thick as a card. And then it gets like doubled over. Whereas this is just
boom. And it's like, it's even smaller if you've got less cards. It's got the little clip there, so you've got a little cash. It's made out of super premium materials. They have like a bajillion colors. I got the like carbon fiber one. V got the like Damascus, burnt Damascus. They're really cool. They hold up to 12 cards plus cash. Made with premium materials such as aluminum, titanium, or carbon fiber, depending on what you get. All Ridge products have a lifetime warranty. This is literally the last wallet you'll have to buy that's in the ad read, man. Lifetime warranty. And Ridge wallets have RFID blocking technology, over 100,000 5-star reviews. And they've got a bunch of like everyday stuff too. They sent us like a keychain, a no jingle keychain. I'd never seen one of these before. I don't know if they invented it or whatever, but it's like you put all your keys on it and then there's like a tension rod. So it holds the keys stuck together. So, and then you just slide in your pocket and it's a no jingle key ring. I was like, that's sick.
Dude, I hate that I have literally a house key and nothing else, plus a giant like key fob thing, so I can't make use of it.
Yeah.
But every day I look at it, I'm like, I want to use it. I just wish I had like a lot more keys, but it'd be pointless with a single key in it.
Yeah, one key on the thing. But they have that. They've got like travel stuff, luggage, lots of other kind of like knives, I think too. Lots of like everyday essentials as well. So it's awesome, man. Oh yeah, you can get the air tag attachment. So like where the cache is, you can just pop a little air tag in there, which is kind of sick too. It's pretty sick. No matter what you pick, Ridge has free shipping and a 99-day risk-free trial and a lifetime warranty. For a limited time, our listeners get 10% off Ridge by using code, let me make sure I get this straight, Pogcast. Okay. Using code Pogcast at checkout. Just head to ridge.com and use code Pogcast and you're all set. After your purchase, they'll ask where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you. Thank you so much to Ridge for sponsoring this episode. Okay, so that is the big sticking point for me, the transit thing. Maybe they've thought about it more. Maybe I'm overlooking it. Maybe it's like gonna be the worst thing that's happened to Tarkov ever. Who knows? The next thing is super interesting. Secure container restrictions can't store ammo, currency, or certain medicines in there. This is fascinating because there have been a group of people since when you were playing the game that have been like, lock the secure container, lock the secure container, lock the secure container. This is the exact opposite. Those people, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, wanted you put everything for your raid in your secure container, and when you go into the raid, you can't put anything else into it. They're like, if you find good loot, you got to risk it and get out. This is the complete opposite. Half the shit that we all put in our secure container, you just can't anymore. And when you're in raid, you can put anything you want in it. Because they said they removed the found in raid restrictions for the hideout. And the only reason why they would put that there is because now if you need 2 more bolts for the workbench and you find the bolts in raid and you shove the bolts in your secure container and you die, now you can still use them. That's the only reason why they would have put that on the first page. So we know the secure container is not going to be locked that way. It's so fascinating that they locked it the other way. No ammo, no currency, and certain meds. You will not be able to. Almost certainly that means no grizzly in there, which is like how I get through the first 2 weeks of the wipe, bro. one grizzly in my butt.
Think about how fucking annoying it's going to be when, like, I have to assume that if you're playing Tarkov in the year of our Lord 2025, people are you carrying cash in your like your docs case or whatever for like taking the car everywhere?
Taking the car. When
you pay for transits,
you don't pay for transit, but when you transit, you're always given an opportunity to depot some gear that you have to pay for.
You want cash.
Yes.
So that's the thing, is that now it was great when you could drop in way more cash than you needed as like a savings account, and then you can go in and do whatever. Now you have to do it every raid. It's a thing. You need to make sure that you take 5,000 rubles or 10,000 rubles every raid and put it in your backpack.
And it costs a lot to depot gear. So you're going to transit almost every single one of your raids now, because over half of the maps are going to be locked behind transits. Every time you transit, you're going to be given the option to like, oh, do I want to depot gear? You're going to put the gear in there and you're going to be like, oh my God, I need 70,000 rubles to depot this gear. The next raid, you're going to be like, let me bring some money. I guess I should bring like 80K. Then you're going to die off spawn and be like, fuck that. I'm not bringing any more money. And then the next game, you're going to survive and wish you had the money. But nobody's going to bring 80K every raid. You know what I mean? So,
dude, that's so rough. Yeah, this is getting way
ammo,
more AIDS
bro. Ammo. No ammo in your secure container.
Well, honestly, when I was playing with ammo that I didn't feel the need to go in my secure container is when I like enjoyed the game the most, because I wasn't min-maxing, and it wasn't like when I died, my magazine was like a fucking gold mine. And I have 995 stacks in my whatever. It was, if everyone's using, 856A1 or whatever, and it's like mid-tier stuff, people are going to be a lot less willing to take the good shit.
Yeah.
And think about, dude, back in the day, it was, okay, I need to do this quest. Let me put on my fort, fast empty with the mandible, get the contacts. I'm gonna put the fucking the 3x scope on my gun this time. I'm gonna take the fucking rifle, and I'm gonna do the suppressor and the laser on this one. Remember back in the day, dude, it was like, you were excited to take all of these things.
It was a big raid when you put a suppressor on your gun.
Yeah, so in this case, it's like, all right, I'm going to take one stack of 995, one stack of 856A1, another stack of 855A1 or whatever. And, I mean, that part could be cool, because now it's not going to be every raid is going to be you just taking your best shit, because there's no point not to.
No, true. This might be like a long-term nerf to the time to kill, or like extending the time to kill, because more people are going to bring more mid-tier ammo. If they bring good stuff, it'll be like one mag's worth, right? It won't be like first mag and then 2 stacks of the good stuff and you top load from the good stuff. Might bring a mag of the good stuff and then like mid-tier stuff to top load. So it might mean that there's less, one taps with M61, because it's like, I only brought in 5 rounds of M61 and I ended up using it on scabs. You know what I mean? Like,
everyone's first magazine should be the fucking good stuff, because it's like, that's the fight you need to win.
Yeah.
If you lose that fight, the raid's over.
But then you run into a scav and he scares you, you mag dump him. Shit, my good ammo's gone. You know what I mean? And it's like, now so yeah, maybe that's interesting.
Then don't mag dump them. Then make sure you hit your fucking single shot.
Yeah, I'm saying I agree with you. Certain medicine, I'm so interested what direction they mean by that. Like, that to me could mean you can put a Salua or a Grizzly in your ass, but no stims anymore. Like, it would make sense with how restrictive these changes have been, that they're like, we don't like the stim meta. You can't put stims in your security container anymore. But then you'd be like, well, what the hell's an injector case for? But then, or you could interpret it the other way, which is like, the injector case is for that reason. You're not going to be able to put anything except stims in your secure container. And then you're like, oh, well, that's like, does that make sense what I'm trying to say? Like, stims in your secure container is less hardcore. So are they going to only allow stims, or are they going to only not allow stims? Because the way it goes right now, dude, I have an ETG, which heals me an insane amount. I have 2 Propitals, which are painkillers and heal me an insane amount. I have an SJ12, which means I don't have to eat or drink, even if I'm at 0 energy, for like 12 minutes. I've got a Trimadol, meaning I can run from one side of the map to the other. I've got a Perfotora, which closes all of my bleeds and heals me and prevents new bleeds from forming. And I've got a Mule, meaning that no matter how heavy I am, I can make it to the extract.
And that's worth more than like half of the people's stashes
if
that
they're
are
like,
new.
You can't put an IFAK in your secure container, but you can put that in. Like, that's what I'm saying. I'm not, now hear me, commenters. I'm not saying I hope they restrict the stims. That would be ass. But what I'm saying is, like, that has to be it, right? Because if they're like, no IFAKs in your secure container, but you can have the heal you for 6,000 HP stim in there, that would just be crazy.
All that is an inconvenience tax.
Yeah.
But you still have the same arcadey bullshit.
Yeah.
Where it's like, the most toxic part of Tarkov was when everybody was rocking the best ammo, class 6 gear, everything that was a juice cannon. They start the raid and
yeah.
You're fucking Iron Man.
That's true,
maxed out skills.
But you can't get the stims except for on the flea. Like, you can find them. Hold on, let me pull up Tarkov. Oh my god, what was that? Yeah, that's true though. That's true. You can't, most of the stims like SJ6s, Trimadols, ETGs, Mules, Abdablos 2s, those are only purchasable from the, like, not only you can find them, and I think there might be barters for a few of them, but largely they're purchased on the flea. So that's true. So then maybe the stims, it would really just be like Propitals. You know, I don't know.
I feel like they shouldn't. I feel like they should be. I feel like they should increase the spawn rate of them. Like when you go into like one of the first floor shoreline rooms, there should be like 7 stims there.
Yes, I'm with that.
Because there's a massive percentage of the gear that spawns into existence in a raid, and like 90% of it is going to become ones and zeros on the fucking memory dump that's all just when the raid garbage is over. Collected when the raid is over. But I think that like yeah, dude, I almost feel like they shouldn't have the stims on the fucking flea either. Like stims should not be something that you can just like hoard, or like hoarding them.
Yeah.
Like just being able to buy them whenever you want because you're super rich or whatever, or farming them just to sell to make money. Like either way, it's just like lame.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Like all the gear should be stuff that you find and you fucking use, man.
Yeah. Yeah, you can barter for Popitals, SJ1s, SJ6s. You can buy Zagustins. You can barter for ETGs, and you can barter and buy adrenalines, and you can buy morphines. Now, all of this is through the lens of the very next thing on the list here is limited trader interaction, reduce the range of available medicine, weapons, ammo, and armor from the traders. So anything that we're like, yeah, well, you could just buy that from the traders, because that was the big thing. Going back to the page 1, no flea market. I had a lot of people know my personal take, which is that I think Tarkov would be 10x more fun if there were 10x less suppressors and less optics in the game, less variable scopes. So a lot of people were like, oh, well, no flea. Like, there's going to be so many less. And I was like, yeah, but you can buy all that from the trader. Like, the flea's not the problem there. Then a lot of people came back today because they were like, So that I'm actually very interested in. Reduced range of available medicine, weapons, ammo, and armor. So I'm super interested to see if like long range scopes and suppressors are much less frequent. That's going to change the game a lot. A lot, bro. That could be so cool. The one-tap meta is almost exclusively a result of variable optics being so popular. Back in the day, it was Voodoo and the TAC 30. That was it. And they were both like pog finds. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of people say the one-tap meta is the ammo, but most people don't wear face protection, or the face protection they wear is class 2, and most people wear class 4 helmets. Like, you don't need a round that good to one-tap. Like, 5.6A1 or BP 545 has like 45 pen. It's all over the place on the ground. Like, that's going to one-tap a ULAC. And that's the most common helmet in the game. So the one-tap meta largely came as a result of just having insane scopes. When you have like a red dot and you're looking all the way down the dorm's hallway and you see someone peek, bro, it's like, you're just like, blah, 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 blah. But when you've got the Voodoo just like zip right at the head height and they peek and it's just like, boom, one tap dead. So that could make a big difference too. That could make a big difference too. But once again, the medicine. So the stims could be less. So I'm back to not knowing what direction they're going to go with the medicine. I don't know if that means no stims or only stims. What do you think about big scopes for snipes? I think that should be like the only stuff you should be able to buy. Like from the traders is like the big, like the March tacticals and stuff, because we need a,
because you those are terrible and you only use them for the fucking quests where you need to use those specific.
Yeah, exactly. And we need a reason to use them. It's like having, especially now that they're variable, like the smooth zoom, like, yeah, it's not that fun to have an 8 to 24x, but that maybe that means people will actually like use those on bolt actions. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And then you're definitely at a little bit of a disadvantage. It's much harder to acquire a target when somebody pushes you, when somebody's close and you've got an 8 to 24, but maybe there's a reason to use it now. You know what I mean? Like that could be kind of sick. I'm down with that. I just think like, Tango, Schmittenbender, Voodoo, Razor, TAC 30, Elcan, Valde, Those are just like, they're so common, they're so easily attainable, and they all work perfectly for close range combat, and they work great. Like, they're all perfect for basically the longest range combat. Like, very rarely on wood specifically are you sniping somebody from like 200 plus meters away, and every single one of those scopes is like a perfect scope for 0 to 200 meters away. So it's like, you just don't need anything else. So I'm very interested to see the scope and the suppressor change as a result of the trader. I'm also personally interested in armor, right? Like right now, I can buy 2 Begaries. I don't know if that's how you pronounce that. Class 5 armor. I can buy 2 Korans, Class 5 armor. I can barter for the Osprey P, Class 5 armor. I can, or the A, I don't know, the Class 5 Osprey. I can barter for a Defender. I can barter for 2 Gen 4s. All Class 5 armors right now per reset, right? So basically, I never run out of Class 5 armors per reset if I don't want to. Now, those barters, you won't be able to just buy the things you need for those barters. And secondarily, if they restrict the amount, it'll be interesting if like more people are running around with Class 3 and 4 armors, which means maybe when you find a stack of 995 or when you find a stack of high pen ammo and you like run it, you'll be rewarded for running it because you're like, oh shoot, I'm running this against people that have lower armor. I don't know.
Yeah, wasn't it there's a plan that there's going to be 2 wipes between now and 1.0?
This is the last wipe.
So do you think it could be like a fucking 1 month wipe or a 2 month wipe or something, or what?
A lot of people think that. So a lot of people think that. I personally have no reason to believe that 1.0 is not going to happen on like December 31st. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think if they were like ready for 1.0, September or October, they would have just let this wipe ride out. Because like the past 2 years, I'm pretty sure we've wiped in September, and then we've had a September to December wipe. So if it was like that ready to go, so my thought process is that 1.0 is not that ready to go. 1.0 is going to be like November, December, and this is like basically a big long in-game event where they like bide their time. But I could be way wrong about that. A lot of people think that this is like it actually is ready. They're going to like completely break the game and kind of just see what happens to see if they make any final tweaks. And maybe like September, October, they do 1.0. I think it very well, like that could be the case. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that that's not, but I haven't really seen a compelling reason to think that, but that does change things. Like if we knew the motivation and if we knew that this was only going to be like a 2 month wipe, that's like, oh yeah, let's rip it. Like, let's do weird stuff. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Dude, I can't wait to see 1.0 plus 6 months where we're at. Like, are they fixing fuck all? Are they like, do they care about feedback? Is Nikita moved on to like a fucking Nintendo Switch game or something? Like what? Yeah. What's the deal?
I'm with you. The final thing being reducing what you get money for when you sell things to the trader and increasing the price of things. Like all of these are really just like a kick in the nuts in a row. Now, like here's something that that a lot of people have been talking about. Obviously, not a lot of people like this, and it's funny. A lot of people think that quote unquote streamers like this, but if you go under the tweet, there's a lot of streamers being like, fuck this, bro. I think you have a lot of your cleans like are like really excited for stuff like this, right? So there are streamers, but
which is funny because I would have thought that everybody would have been like if you would ask me, don't think very long about this.
Yeah.
Let's say they announced this thing, I would be like, oh yeah, that's like an easy. All the streamers are going to be fucking glazing this, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And the funny part is that like they they had to have thought like this is gonna be a big fucking W.
Yeah.
And then they post it, and then instantly it's it's like, what the fuck is this garbage?
The thing is, this is there might be like a philosophical term for this where everybody agrees. Like, you have 150,000 people agree that X person sucks. They all agree on that. If you said why, you'd get 150,000 answers. So like everybody at a lot of the streamers, so many people were like, dude, a hardcore wipe would be so sick. Define that. So that's the problem. Is we're doing a hard.
That's nothing like what everyone has been doing their own. I'm doing a hardcore account or whatever.
Exactly.
It's nothing like this.
Nothing like that. So when they said we're doing a hardcore wipe and then they start defining the things, well, now you get the fractures where people are like, I wouldn't do it that way. The transit thing, that's stupid. Like a great example is the secure container thing. I would bet 90% of the people that would want a hardcore wipe would want the secure container locked the other way. So it's like when they started defining what BSG's version of a hardcore wipe is, they started losing people left and right because everybody's like, what the fuck? Now, here's what I was going to say. I understand the technical limitations on why this would be hard to do, but this entire thing would go from like the biggest L to like the fattest golden girthy W if this was elective. If you could pick and you could swap between them. Boom. All fixed. Because then it's like, if you are excited for it, you play it. And if the raids are dead on that side of the aisle, that's kind of better, right? And if you don't want it, it's fine. And most likely at some point, you're going to try it. Like if it doesn't mess with your other character, at some point during the wipe, you're going to be like, well, you know, what's it like over there? And you would try it for a couple raids and then you might like it or you might hate it. Now, I understand the technical limitations of like running all the extra servers and splitting the player base and boobity, but I just think that like you couldn't really get mad at it if it was like, hey, we're trying a thing. You would get all the content creators, you get all the people like to try it and run it on wipe day because everybody wanted to like show the new stuff. And then if everybody hated it, you could just kind of like go back and do your own Tarkov thing. You know what I mean?
I mean, so when you're talking about tech wise, there's nothing about it that's challenging.
Yeah.
Like it's purely cost and resources thing. Because think about this, 1.0. So let's say what's the version of the game now?
16.7.
Okay, 16.7. 0.16.
Yes, 0.16.7.
They're going to do 0.16.8B.
Yeah.
With all the changes to make it hardcore. But the 1.0 branch is going to be branched off of this branch. It's not going to be. So they already have two separate. They're like, it's not like they're switching a bunch of stuff over and then they're going to switch it back. They are like branching it off and they're going to be making. Now, I wonder if that could be intentional in that, like, let's say it's a 2-month, 3-month wipe. All the changes they're going to be making are on like the separate branch, totally separate from
the 1.0 branch.
Like, it's almost like we're going to give you guys a sandbox over here. You can piss and poop in the sandbox all you want because we have this nice pristine one over here that we're going to try and get release ready.
Yeah.
Which means that there'll be 754,000 bugs
in the piss poop sandbox.
In that will never get caught until 1.0 comes out.
Yeah.
Because they don't catch their own bugs.
Yeah.
Or if they do, they only catch, you know, a small percentage of them or whatever. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, technically speaking,
I think what I meant more was like whenever you bring up literally anything at all, people are like, it'll split the player base, it'll split the player base, it'll split the player base, which might be true. I'm not arguing that it's not true. I find it so interesting that games with lower player pops and more different sets of queues find games quicker. Like I was talking to Alf, homie of mine. He plays a lot of Arena Breakout. My assumption is that like the PC version, if you include mobile, Arena Breakout has way more like users per day than Tarkov. But if you are just talking about the PC version, my guess is that it would be less viewers. They have like a solo queue, a squad queue. They're adding a duos queue. All of the maps all of the stuff, completely separate queues. And he's like, I never wait more than a minute for my games.
In what game?
Arena Breakout Infinite. Which is the
Is that the free-to-play one?
That's the free-to-play.
Like, we don't have numbers on it, but I would just guess, like, Tarkov Late Wipe and a free-to-play game like Arena Breakout, there's probably 9 billion people in Asia that play that game every day, bro. Like,
yeah, but the Asian version is different. I'm pretty sure than the American version.
Maybe.
Yeah. Anyways, all I'm saying is that, like, what I'm saying is that I sometimes wonder if the concerns about splitting the player base are valid. Like, sometimes I'm like, I kind of think that there's just enough people that, but I get why those concerns are there, because somebody who's not very tech savvy in terms of, I don't mean dumb, I just mean like in terms of like server infrastructure, a la me, it's easy to be like, I'm waiting 8 minutes for a customs queue. Don't add another whole set of queues. But my gut is telling me that the 8-minute customs queue is not at all related to how many people are playing. It's just like ass server infrastructure or something like that. I don't know.
Well, so let's just say all things are equal, okay? And you have Tarkov. Now, the problem is that, like, you can't compare Tarkov now to this Tarkov post-wipe, because post-wipe hype, player boost, but also, let's just say hardcore wipe.
Yeah.
It's kind of a toss-up, but I have a feeling, I'm leaning towards there's going to be less people playing on day one, and it only goes down from there, right? Less people playing on day one in the hardcore wipe than non-hardcore wipe, okay? Well, now imagine that, well, I guess, okay, I'm walking through this in real time here, so the alternative is that they do, if they split it. So think about what we talked about before.
Yeah.
With, like, you're doing a raid on the 3 deep down the extraction tree map. There's already going to be a super long queue time, and it's going to potentially feel dead.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be kind of one or the other.
Yeah.
It's either going to be like full and you're going to have to wait for it. And now take that and don't even split it in half. Multiply it times like 0.3. Because if you think about all the players, if you have a choice, let's just say there's 100 players.
Mm-hmm.
If obviously, if there's no choice, you would, well, okay. So if it's a normal wipe, you get 100 players on the normal, day one. If it's a hardcore only wipe, maybe you get like 80, 70. If it's split, what you'd end up with is 60 on the normal.
Yeah, and 40.
And 20 on the not normal or something. Yeah. Because the people, if they have a choice, they're going to play this. Yeah. They would play this if they had no choice. Yeah. But otherwise, so now instead of 80, you're going to have 20. Yeah. So it's not just splitting it in half. It's going to be a quarter of what was already going to feel dead.
Yes. But
so it's going to be the most ultimate dead queue fucking simulator ever.
But I still think that would be preferable to forcing people to do it. Because
I don't know, 80 versus 20 if you're playing hardcore?
Yeah.
Who is it preferable for? The people who get to play on the non-hardcore?
Yeah, the 60. Yeah. Like, right, the majority. Sure. The majority it's better for. You know what I mean? Like,
but if the whole point, they have all this hype and they have all this stuff and they're doing all these changes and obviously, like, this is like important to them, you don't want a tiny little, well, I mean, then why would the fuck would they do it?
I don't know.
Right?
I don't know.
Like, why would they do it? Okay, honey, it's the day before your wedding. Yeah. I'm gonna go on a fucking trip to Hawaii by myself to look for a fucking timeshare. But it's like, well, we gotta make plans. Like, we got other shit that's more important to do.
The flip side of this, though, is that we've talked about this before, the quality of feedback, like Reddit threads versus like a Veritas video about like the audio. We've talked a lot about that, the quality of feedback. The quality of feedback on these features and these changes would 1000x if the people that were playing them wanted to play them. and more people would play them and give better feedback if it was an option. Now, I'm not saying more people as in like more people on day one, but I'm saying people that right now think it's ass might try it a week or two into the wipe and then give better feedback and have better response to it than being forced to do it on day one. And so it's like, that's the other side of this, is like, if they're doing it because they want to know if people enjoy it, forcing everybody through the pipeline when 90% of the, it's hard to tell the player base, 90% of the internet is already predisposed to be like, this is all stupid. It's going to be hard to get like beneficial feedback from it.
Well, so there's a couple of things. One, do you think that they're doing this so that they can get feedback about maybe making the game this way, like a month before 1.0? It doesn't make sense. It almost...
I kind of do. It doesn't make sense either way, so that makes more sense to me than putting all this time and effort into it. Like, that makes more sense to me than putting all this time and effort into it being like, we're literally not going to change anything, even if people fall in love with this and beg us for it.
No, I see it as like, we're all in this fucking sandbox and, it's a little bit messy. What we want to do is, I'm going to create one out of like sticks and chewing gum and just like throw some sand in there. It's a temporary thing that we're not going to pay attention to. I don't care about your feet. Oh, well, the sand isn't, well, whatever. We're working on this.
They're cleaning this one up or whatever.
Wait a month and you'll come back to this and this will be what you want. So that's where I'm thinking like, you're arguing that there would be higher quality feedback. And I'm not saying that you're wrong.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that like, why the fuck do they want feedback?
Yeah. And you know what, like, the best part of all this is? They could just tell us. They could have just put in the tweet, we're polishing the 1.0 branch and we wanted to do a big send-off event. Or they could have put in the tweet, we're locking down what we want to do for 1.0. And we thought this was a great opportunity to try some new things. Like you and me are both arguing for a presumed motivation from BSG. And the point of this is that neither of us know if that is the motivation. And it's not like that motivation is like a trade secret. Like, do you remember, what was the game? Was it Diablo? Remember when you and me like fangirled over like a patch notes thing where the dev was like, we understand you think this is why we did that change because we thought this, the players have shown that this, so we're doing this. It was like,
it was either like PoE or it was like League of Legends.
Yeah, something like that. Like what we're asking, which is like them to let us know why they're doing a change like this. It's not like a trade secret, bro. They could have included it in the tweet in 2 or less sentences, and then we would have an understanding of why changes like these were being made at the 11th hour. Because what both of us are trying to basically figure out why the night before the wedding, they both want to go have a one-night stand with someone else. You're just coming at it going, well, they have to, because of this. And I'm coming at it being like, well, no, they have to because of this. But we're both trying to make sense of something that already just doesn't seem to make sense. And it's like, they could just tell us.
But like it's always, crazy. They don't want to tell us. They don't want to tell us anything because we might hold them to it and they can't deliver on anything that they're held to.
But that's the thing is that they like, this is actually the opposite of that. Like, they could just be like, this is why we're doing it and this is what we're looking for. The result of that feedback could still be held close to the chest. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, and yet
they're already giving too much information. They're already giving more than they want to give.
But no, I know, but that's the thing is like, that's not true because Nikita is chronically addicted to like posting dates on his Twitter. He just this year posted Q2 2025. That was the date we were supposed to know when 1.0 is. It's Q3, bro. Right now, July. It's Q3. We don't know when 1.0 is. So on one hand, I do not accept that they're like, well, we like to keep things close to the chest because we're afraid if we'll say something, you'll hold us to it. No, you're literally live tweeting dates that you're pulling out your ass. You can't use that excuse over here.
When you said Q2, wasn't that ambiguous and he never explained it?
No, he did. He said by the end of Q2 2025, there will be a date for 1.0. Okay.
I mean,
I know. I'm not
I
arguing with you.
I can't make sense of it. The only way that we could make sense of it, of why they don't tell us things, is if they told us why.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you see the fucking paradox there, my dude?
I'm in no way arguing with you. I'm arguing, with the straw man in my head. I don't accept that, where it's like they're not telling us because they're scared we're gonna hold them to it, because they're addicted to telling us stuff that they know that they can't hold us.
They haven't made up their mind. They don't know what they're doing, dude. Yeah. Okay, so like let's walk through this though. Whether they split the player base or not.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's say everybody loves it.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's why I think some level they have to be considering making some of these changes in 1.0, because if everybody loves it and they roll it back, they got a whole nother shitstorm coming their way.
But the problem then becomes the thing that they've never realized in the last decade, and we've been telling them since day one, is that you can't make 97 tweaks. People say, oh, I like these 3 tweaks, because you didn't make them in a vacuum. And then you can't just make those 3 tweaks, because now it's like, oh, well, we made this one tweak but didn't tweak all the other things. Yep. Now it doesn't make sense in the context of, oh, there's a flea market. People like that you can't do this with your secure container, and that was okay and that was cool.
Yep.
But there was no flea market. Well, now let's just implement that where there is a flea market and where there is all these other things. It doesn't make sense. And on the flip side, let's say they do what you were saying you preferred, and they split the player base. You would only be getting feedback from the people who are more likely to like that, which is potentially not applicable to literally anyone else.
True.
So what you're doing is you're asking for someone who's like, I want to learn how to be a relationship counselor, and so I'm going to go to a BDSM party and learn about the people who love to whip each other with chains. Yeah. And then I'm just going to use that as the advice I give for every single couple that comes in the door?
No, I see what you're saying.
What is this, 50 Shades of Grey? Full circle.
Yes, full circle, bro. 9/11, that's crazy. You had to be here in the beginning. No, I see what you mean. Yeah, if they split it and they only get 20% of the people that would play it, then they're only getting feedback from the people that were predisposed to like it. And then, but that's what I'm saying. But I still maintain that forcing everybody with a predisposition to hate it into it means that you're like, the feedback's gonna be fucked either way. I'm with you.
If you force them into it and they hate it, it was temporary.
Yeah,
and it's over, and they'll be that much happier for 1.0. If you force them into it and they love it, wow, you just convinced the people predisposed to hate it to love it, and now maybe we pivot and maybe we do Tarkov this way.
Somebody was saying that this was all like a 5-head way to just like get people to stop playing Tarkov for a wipe, so they come back to 1.0 like excited and fresh because people have like such an unhealthy relationship with this game.
Yo, oh my god, bro, this is like some Trumponomics where it's like, we'll tank the economy.
Yeah.
We'll tank the economy because of ineptitude. I shouldn't be getting into this on the main cast. We'll tank the economy due to ineptitude, just so at some point it'll naturally come back up because it has to. And then I'll be like, look at the fucking gains, bro, to the moon. Everyone's going to be so mad, so fucking off-put by the game that when it comes back, everyone's going to be like, yes.
Dude, that's so true. It's going to be like,
incredible.
BSG fixed it. Yes, dude, I knew they would. Like, oh no.
Big fucking W.
Oh no, bro. Oh shit. Oh man.
The day before the wedding.
Yeah.
What wife? I can't come up with any metaphors that aren't
the
terrible.
Day before the wedding, the guy goes out with his 4 friends and gets hammered and gets drunk and they do drugs and they get arrested, so that the wife is like, oh my god, I'm so glad my husband's not like those guys. They're a bad influence on him.
You
make it worse to make it better.
You ever see Shallow Hal?
Yes, actually.
You shallow Hal the day before. But the reverse Shallow Hal.
Okay.
So then, like, if your wife was, my wife is like a 6 out of 10 the day before the wedding, then you reverse Shallow Hal and she becomes a 2 out of 10. Then on the wedding, and she goes back to normal, that 6 is going to seem like a 9, brother.
Oh, man. Oh, God. Oh,
That's what Nikita's doing.
We're being outplayed by BSG. Truing. Okay, the last thing, the only other factor into this that like is crazy important is ref. Right now in the current Tarkov game, no hardcore things applying. The general consensus is that ref is like crazy OP. You play a bunch of arena, you have a virtually unlimited amount of money flowing into the main game because you can send 1.5 million per day. You don't have to deal with the bullshit of like, you know, RNG, like finding a screw or a bolt. And when you get ref level 4, you get access to M61, 7.62 BP, class 5 armors, fully kitted meta guns, like in a lot. Like,
well, they already said they were going to make changes to trader availability, item availability,
yes.
right? That would have to be step one.
But they're in a here's the rock and the hard place they're in. The only reason people play arena is to get an advantage in Tarkov. And if you take that away or highly diminish it, I think a lot less people will play arena. But every time the arena player base dips, they buff a ref because they really want people playing arena. So it's like,
why? This might be a stupid question. I know I'm late to the party, but why the fuck do they care about arena?
I don't know. But
why do they want? Like, why do they really want to push people towards arena?
They really do, though. I don't know why.
There's no fucking microtransactions or anything, right? Like that would be
not yet
the money printer,
the battle pass,
right? But like,
is gonna cost money. The first one is free. But yeah, I and once again, I think arena's in the best state it's ever been in. You know, I had fun grinding the battle pass. I really did. But like, they have to address, like, it would undercut everything about the hardcore wipe. Nobody would be playing Tarkov. Everybody would be mainlining arena to get to level 4 ref and just like print GP coins and buy like meta RDs with 7.62 BP and class 5 armors. Like, it's all the best shit is there. Stuff that they've systematically over the past 4 years removed from the traders, removed from the flea market, and removed from the crafting pool because they were too OP and too available. They've just systematically put all those things on Ref 4, purchasable in high quantities per reset. Like, it's like pre-hardcore wipe. It's people have been like, bro, oh, holy shit. And so it has to change, but I'm very interested to see how that's adjusted. My predictions for what page 3 are going to be is 1, I predict they will do something with scavs. I think they're either going to remove scavving altogether, or they're going to make it so you can't pick where you scav. I think they're going to do one of those things. And 2, I think they're going to do something with insurance. It's either going to cost more or they're going to get rid of it. Those just feel like the low-hanging fruit, and if we're going to just keep kicking ourselves in the nuts. Now, I've been a proponent of, I just don't think you should be able to pick where you scav in Tarkov ever at all. But I get crucified every time I bring that up, so we'll see. So yeah, page 3. Page 2 was a doozy. Transits, weird lockage of the secure container, and you're going to get waitlist stuff from the traders. Page 3, I imagine is gonna go nuts.
Fucking bullet point number 1, hepatitis C.
Yeah, dude. Exactly.
In IRL.
Yeah. Yep. Your character now has IBS.
Yep.
Randomly pulls his pants down and takes a shit in the middle of a fight.
Yeah, we have your contact information. We will contact the IRS.
Yes.
As you, and say, I haven't paid my taxes in years. Audit me, and then hang up.
Yep. Hardcore. Long live hardcore, man.
Yeah.
Long live hardcore. So that's it, man. That's the Tarkov stuff. There was an interesting tweet, like randomly, everybody's like yelling about the hardcore stuff. They tweeted this today. Let me know about the technical back end, like just your knowledge, what you think about this. As a part of the updates coming to Tarkov, all containers will have a storage stacking limit. Backpacks. You can't infinitely stack them anymore. This is necessary to avoid situations where players would get stuck on the profile loading screen due to an excessive amount of items stashed inside of containers. This change will mostly affect PvE players who have stacked 7 or more items inside each other, i.e. backpacks. All items that exceed that limit will be deleted. In order to avoid situations where valuable items are lost, we ask that players to sort their stashes in a way that would not be subject to the change. So that was an interesting one where, like, they were saying if you have too many backpacks stacked inside of each other, it's causing you to load into raids longer. The profile, or when you launch the game, is that one profile?
No, when you queue, like, remember we did this where I pulled up the logs and I queued with someone. I don't know if it's Geeks or if it was you or whatever,
Yeah.
and I was like, I could tell you what key was in your third slot of your protector case.
Mm-hmm.
Because your entire item tree, like, not minified at all, loads in. And that was actually, you know what? That was even, remember when there was like waiting for, or you could do like accept looking for group. The looking for group, is that still in the game? The looking for group? Mm-hmm. There's like a new queuing feature.
Yeah, there's like a new, yeah.
But like, so at that point, it was already had all of your information on like the looking for, when really all it should be is a fucking user ID, you know, when you're looking for a group. And then, but see, now that they need to show your character on that screen, well, then they need to effectively render the whole thing.
Yeah.
But, you know, if they had implemented it in such a way that you could dynamically request information rather than say, give me all items. Mm-hmm. You know, there's a million ways you can design this. I'll just say like a really simple, stupid way. You can say, give me all the items. And then one of the other params in the request would be, you know, include, and it would be a list of, you know, include, you know, image preview ID, you know, item ID, name. So then it would like leave out the 5-paragraph description about this is used in the Korean War for blah, 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 on like the helmet, right? Like it would remove all of that and all of the other things infinitely.
Yeah.
But the problem is if you're standing there and you're holding a gun, that the game needs to know that you have item ID A that has attached to it item ID B, C, D, E, F, G, and H. On item B has I, J, K, L, M. I has F, you know, like it just infinitely goes down and it branches fucking exponentially. The thing is that, like, if they're talking about backpacks, like, that's a weird use case. Because what they're talking about is for everything you stack, it's just like N+1.
Yeah. And that's exclusively what this is talking about. And the thing is, like, anything that's stacked 7 deep. Now, a gun, obviously, like you said, a gun might have 11 trees down worth of like attachments, but you can't, they literally said anything past 7 gets deleted. So there's no universe where they start deleting attachments off guns. They're exclusively talking about backpacks here, or anything that stacks inside of itself.
I thought you couldn't stack backpacks anymore.
In raid, but in your stash, you can do it infinitely.
You shouldn't be able to do it on your character. Now that they have like the temporary movement, box, why would they should just make it so you can't do it on your character, and now it's not a problem. Because you can't do it in the character or in raid. And that's like a one-size-fits-all solution to the implementation.
You can't do it in your character. Like in my stash, I can't drag 3 trizips onto my guy. It's like, you have to go all the way down and just put the 1. That's what I'm saying.
Wait, so then how is this possible?
I don't know. They're talking about the stash. They're talking about having too many backpacks stacked in your stash.
Oh, you're not talking about in the raid?
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't understand how when I have like, All right, I missed that.
No,
you're fine. I have like 70 guns in my stash that all have, like you said, 1 trillion attachments. But they're saying the thing that's holding it up is too many backpacks inside of each other. Which it just surprised me. I'm not assuming to know.
Like, I could see if you have like, 4 pilgrims, and then at the bottom of the deepest pilgrim, you have a gun with a shit ton of attachments and a tri-zip.
Yeah,
inside of the tri-zip, you have an
true.
MP5 and a smaller bag.
And it's
then,
just like,
now, until you can attach rigs and backpacks to guns, I don't know.
Yeah.
I just, I don't know. I don't understand.
Yeah.
But either way, it's just such a fucking dumb, hacky solution to what should have been done from the start, which is you don't need everything all the time everywhere.
Yeah.
You simply don't. Well, I've been meaning to watch that movie, actually.
Everything Everywhere All at Once?
Yeah.
You haven't seen it?
No, I've just been like bored on looking for content and shows and everything, and that's just a movie. I'm like, you know what? It's been long enough that I want to see that again.
So good.
Yeah, but I don't know, dude. It shouldn't be a thing.
Or just make it.
It seems to me like their explanation is kind of bullshitty.
They could make it like some of the other games do, where you can't stack backpacks inside of each other, but you can roll up backpacks. Arena Breakout does this. Delta Force does this, where if a backpack is empty, when you roll it up in your stash, and it's like a tri-zip turns into a 1x2. And it's like, now, okay, well, then you don't have to worry about like the infinite stack, but you can still like store a bunch of backpacks in a relatively small amount of space.
Yeah, so it just occurred to me what might be part of the problem is the performance. Because remember last week or the week before you described the like searching, filtering, and sorting that's like super thick and crisp?
Yeah.
When you have to now search for every item now, if you want to search for a thing, you have to recurse, do a depth first search of every single item and every single item attached to the item just to find a Zagustin. It's like, look here and all the things. 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 Look at the backpack. Okay, now go through the backpack. Okay, well, now go through all the things. Okay, it's a backpack. Now go through all the things just to see if there's a gun or an attachment. So, that might be, because now you're talking about some fucking big O notation shit.
Yeah.
Where,
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. You know what?
Searching is.
Bro, you know what randomly happened to me the other day? And I was like, what the fuck? And then a bunch of people said it happened to them too. I opened my stash. Okay, so I've told you that they added, like, maybe a year or two ago now, the sorting table, which is just you click it and it's an extra stash space.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say.
Where you can literally just put stuff, but you can't do anything. If you try to go to the traders, it's going to dump it all back in your stash. It's just there temporarily. I opened my game, okay? It was profile data loading. You know how there's the main menu where it's like Escape from Tarkov, Traders, Hideout, like, I was profile data. I skipped that main menu. I didn't click anything, went right to my stash. The bottom 40% of my stash, everything that was in the bottom 40% of my stash was in the sorting table. And it wasn't in the sorting table filling down like it normally does. It was one item next to each other horizontally. I would scroll horizontally for like ever. It was just bloop. And I was like, what? It was so random. I had like 70 guns, all my backpacks, everything in the bottom 40% of my stash was just in my sorting table horizontally. And then
I wouldn't put it past BSG to take that massive tree and flatten it to where it's a list with all the things, and that's what gets like saved in the database because they don't know how to fucking do like, any of that stuff. So then later on, what you have is a list of all of the like IDs of the items, all of them, and then somewhere else you have just a tree of IDs, like the mapping of the IDs. So then later you go, okay, find this ID. Okay, find this ID. And so all the attachments, it's like building it dynamically.
Yeah.
When the game is loading, and if you beat it there, then it hasn't finished yet.
Oh, maybe that's so interesting. Because if it was working from top down, it was like wherever it stopped, it just like yeeted it all into my. Yeah, it was super weird. Anyways, so yeah, that's Tarkov hardcore wipe. Holy shit, it's gonna be. I'm assuming I'm sorry if you're listening to this on Sunday, because the assumption is tomorrow they're gonna release the third page, but at this point we've borderline exhausted like the thoughts on it. We'll talk about the third page next week, but that's the hardcore wipe, I guess. It's gonna be crazy, bro. But flip that. Screw Tarkov. How was Rimworld? You were just getting into that the last time we did a cast.
Yeah, I got a good like 50 hours in.
Okay.
And I have thoughts. This was a game that people, the way it was sold to me, right? Like, I don't know anything about a game. People just tell me for years, you got to play this.
Yeah.
And they're like, these are the adjectives the way they described it made me think like it was going to be like twice as complicated as like Factorio.
Yeah.
Because it's Factorio, the automation kind of planning stuff, not really automation, but like you have like dynamic random people colonization, like, all the stuff that's dynamic, but now there's like characters that are going to be slightly unpredictable and random events and stuff that you don't have in Factorio. And it turns out it's like 5% as complex as vanilla Factorio.
I don't know anything about either game, so I will take your word for it.
Yeah, so now I mean it does get pretty complex. And it was neat. But there are some major, and I know I'm not going to make fans here, but and I know I'm used to having my takes make fans. There are some like major egregious oversights in the vanilla game.
Yes.
That like are almost unforgivable and that I wouldn't have expected for a game that, is 10 years old, that is like, one of the most popular games of all time, so many people's lists of the best games of all time, whatever. It's almost like you can't have these. So one of the examples I can give you, I should probably explain a little bit about what the game is. If you've ever seen Factorio, or actually a better example is Prison Architect.
Yeah.
I actually might have said this last week. I'm not sure if I did. If I did, I was wrong. It's a misinformation that it was built on like the same engine as Prison Architect. It's not. I guess in like the Kickstarter for Rimworld, basically there's like I'm parroting what I got told from chat. So if this is wrong, blame chat. But it was basically along the lines of like the guy admitted, he's like, listen, I'm not good at art, so I just like stole the art style of Prison Architect. So that's why it like looks identical.
It does.
He's like, yeah, it's not the same engine. I think they're both. I think they both might be Unity, but like one, I don't know.
Yeah.
All I was told, it's not the same engine, but I think they're both Unity. So like, square that circle how you will. I don't know if one's like a custom engine built on top or whatever, but anyway, so it's like a top-down sort of 2D civilization builder. You start off, and there's a million things you can do to tweak all of the initial settings. Like you can have a million different things from easy, super easy casual to like super giga hardcore. But the normal kind of playthrough, you start off and it has like a list of like 7 randomly generated characters, and the characters have they have, and I'm pulling up Rimworld so that I get the details right. I didn't play enough to have it like memorized. They have like a host of skills, and it randomly generates like the names, their like backstories, their skill sets, and it kind of distributes them, in a way that it's not necessarily all like equivalent. But like, for example, I'll just go through a few of my characters. So I have this guy, Mike Mudgett. He is a 29-year-old military cadet turned anarchist rebel. Who he's incapable of crafting, cleaning, and art. He's got really high skills in shooting and social skills. So when it comes to like bartering, when it comes to like negotiating with prisoners, so like you can take prisoners from like other civilizations. It's similar in some ways to Civilization.
Yeah.
And that you start off on like a planet. You inhabit like a tile. It's like, imagine Civilization, but you zoom into the starting tile, and you spend most of your time in the starting tile, but yet there's still people that'll wander in and whatever. But you zoom out and there's like a planet. and you're on one little hexagon.
Yeah.
So the skills are shooting, melee, construction, mining, cooking, plants, animals, crafting, artistic, medical, social, and intellectual. So like intellectual is there's like a whole technology tree. You have to research to get along the technology tree. Social is, if you take a prisoner, so like if a raiding army of bandits comes, there might be 3 or 4 guys and they all have like, knives and like clubs, and you might have like fucking AKs at this point, basically.
Yeah.
If any of them don't die, but you like kind of down them or incapacitate them, you can then, as long as you have a prison area like set up, which is basically just a bed in a room and the bed is like a prisoner bed.
Yep.
You can put them in there and you basically kind of want to heal them and feed them. But in that time period, it's like a long, it might take multiple in-game days to wear them down to eventually try and convince them to join. Mm-hmm. Or you can take out their lungs and their heart and their, kidneys and put it on ice and sell it for, organ harvesting, the next trader that comes through. So that medical is like, you can end up with getting attacked by people, all kinds of injuries. You get, bleeds. Like if you get downed, one of your little guys needs to come and like drag the dude, pick him up and like take him back to the hospital to like work on him. Or you can turn them into slaves, and there's like a whole slave trade. There's cannibals, and like one of my characters is like a cannibal nudist. So like as long as she's eaten human flesh and she's not wearing any clothes, she's like a happy camper. There is this concept of you have needs. So your characters have like I forget the terminology. Their emotional attitude, whatever the state, and it's based off of a bunch of things. So, have they eaten enough?
Yeah.
Have they slept enough? Have they got enough recreation? You can have horseshoes, poker tables, pool tables. They need and you set up the schedule. You can say from 9 to 5 as they work, and then it's 3 hours of recreation and 4 hours of whatever they want, and then sleep for the rest. You can set all that up granularly different for different people. They have beauty concerns. So if like the rooms are just covered in blood and dirt, they're gonna. So they slowly, if needs aren't met, they slowly get worse and worse and worse until they have like mental breakdowns, and then you can't control them.
You
can't control them anymore. They start running around insulting people, which then brings their mood down. It like gets bad fast. They have comfort, which is like, are they sleeping on a bed indoors where it's warm? Because you have to manage their seasons, so you have to manage it. You need air conditioning, you need heat. They want to be outdoors or indoors, depending on their kind of whatever, and then that dictates their overall mood. So like just looking at Mike the anarchist, his mood is about 50%, and that's because he's getting a boost from. He doesn't really have high expectations. His recreation is fully satisfied. He's impressed with the quality of the dining room, and he's been comfortable. We just recently defeated an insect hive, so that gives him a boost, and he has a decent bedroom. Now, there's 3 things that contribute to basically like the equivalent negative. That's why it like balances out. He's soaking wet. The last time he ate, he had no table, which is like a fucking meme. Like 8 without table is like they all, no matter what you set up, they just fucking, because they're like working and then they get hungry, so they start eating. It's like, no, go sit down and eat. So that's -3, and then -20 because his son Blackjack died. So we got raided by one of the other civilizations, and one of the people in it was his son.
So it wasn't like your colony member, his son died. It was you killed his son because he was raiding you.
So you might hear like, oh, this guy, you're getting raided by this guy who was a family member. So like you want to try and not kill that one guy. So, I've got another guy that is, and of course there's like relationships. So you can have characters who will try to hit on other characters. And if they get like turned down, that really negatively hurts them. Then there's marriages, and then they have sex, and then there's animals and breeding and farming and just all the things. Okay. Now it's top down and it's like, grid based. And there's a whole like work priority system.
Yes, I've seen.
So like
Deadly mess with that. Yeah.
Imagine like a big grid, right, where there's all the people, and then there's numbers 1 through 4. 1 being highest priority, 4 there's 4, and then there's like nothing, which is they just won't do it.
Yeah.
So there's like firefighting, being a medical patient if you have life-threatening injuries, being a doctor for people who have life-threatening injuries, and sleeping are like pretty much ones all over. It's like if you and it goes on number, but then also left to right. So like if you're dying, but everything's on fire, you do the fire.
Yeah.
And then you get back into bed and hope you don't bleed out.
Yeah.
If you're bleeding out, but someone next to you is bleeding out faster and you're a doctor, that's going to take precedent, right? So there's like kind of, so there's this whole thing, there's this whole priority system, but I'll just give one of the examples of something that's like so painfully fucking atrocious.
Okay.
So, and I might not get the examples exactly right. Again, like...
Yeah. You haven't put like hundreds of hours into it.
Yeah, so the first thing that comes to mind might not be the right example, but so like let's say you go across the map and you mine this big thing. So what ends up happening is you turn all of the raw materials into like, well, now you have metal that you just mine from this thing. That's just a grid of like chunks. Someone needs to cross the map, grab the chunk, bring it back. You need to have a place in your storage that can take that thing. So every shelf you can say what's in the shelves. You allow rotten stuff, spoiled stuff. You allow corpses, animal corpses, robot corpses, insect corpses, human corpses. You know, like all of that stuff. So there might be like 50 things. It's like grab it, go, grab it, go. Now sometimes something happens where it's like, okay, I've got my whole schedule, work prioritization, everything is set up. But like right now, I want everyone to like, I want this guy to just grab as much of this stuff as he can. Like this task, picking up all of these things, I want him to do now.
Yep.
You have to go shift, right click, drop down menu, prioritize. Holding shift, right click, prioritize, right click, prioritize, right click, prioritize, right click, prioritize. You can't just hide. Now, what you can do is you can double click and it goes and it selects all of them. And you right click and nothing happens. I just want to say, have this guy do all of this.
Yeah, just like right quick. And then when that job is done, go right back to your current prioritization. Yeah.
You know, but and of course there's, you know, the backseaters who are like, oh, well, bro, you just need to change, you know, make it. It's like, I don't want to have to pull up their work priorities list and temporarily make it so that hauling is the maximum priority.
Yeah.
Which means I need to like increment other things that are higher priority, but normally, but not now.
And then when he's done with the
there's
hauling,
going to be lightning is going to strike and there's going to be a fire and I'm going to get attacked and I'm never going to remember to go back to fix the thing.
Yeah.
So I just want to say, do this now and then get back to your shit. And that's like, I couldn't even find a mod for it. And there's a mod for fucking everything in this game.
Yeah.
And see, that's the thing is that the game, it's one of those games I think relies way too much on the mod community making the game kind of fucking bearable.
Yeah.
I got to the point where I'm like, I think I'm done after like 30 hours. I'm like, I think I'm just fucking done.
Yeah.
Because it's like so, the most basic shit that I want to do is so tedious.
Yeah.
And it's like, they give you so much granularity, but not enough.
Yeah. It's like, I know what you mean. It's like, if you're going to have me that many layers deep, then you kind of want, you switch from gamer brain to like human brain again. And in the human world, you would be like, hey, like, I know I told you to do that earlier. The fucking wagon fell over. Can you just clean that up first? Human brain. And then all you got to do is say that. And then Todd fixes the wagon and then he goes back to hauling the thing. So you're so many layers deep. You want to be able to do that now. Normally, you know, it's like, this is an AI NPC. You know, he's not going to do that. I have to go do it myself. So it's like, if you get me that many layers deep, you got to go all the way deep because I'm going to want to start doing different stuff. I see what you mean. Yeah.
There's just so many things. Like if there's 50 fucking, you know, rocks there that you want to claim, you know, you could make it so that like if you prioritize one, that it assumes it wants to do the rest. But I want to be able to like highlight 3 characters, hold shift, click and drag and highlight 50 rocks and go right click prioritize, and they all prioritize as a group this one thing.
And then go back to whatever they're doing.
And then go back. And they already have a system where you can prioritize a thing. And then they go back to normal. It's like, and they already have a system where you can prioritize 7 things and it goes back to normal. You just have to click 3 times for each one.
Yeah.
Which is infuriating when by definition there's like 600 of those things sometimes.
Bunch of colonists, bunch of rocks, bunch of this, and then it's like that's just a crazy amount of clicks.
Yeah, and it's like only having 4 priority levels when there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11. When there's like 15 things is kind of annoying. They should just have 10.
Yeah.
Because that at least gives you, and there are mods that just have that, but that gives you a lot more wiggle room where if you have something that is like, so let's say you have like, there's stuff on fire and then someone is a miner and you want them to mine rock, like all the time when they're not dying or on fire.
Yeah.
Priority 1, and then priority 3 or 4, which then if anything temporary comes up, you can take the thing and make it 2. So then you can have like this internal thing where it's like temporary high priority things are always going to be 2.
Yeah.
Because it'll supersede. But when there's only 4, it's like you have enough things that are 1, 2, 3, and 4. And if and that's the other thing too. You have the grid of with the people and the tasks. And it says higher priority this way, lower priority this way. I want to be able to click on the things and say, I want this to be higher priority than this.
Yep.
You can't. You can't say, I want research to be to the left of cooking. You can only say, for these people, it's a higher number. But if they're the same number, so let's say there's mining and there's research. If they're both set to 2, and there's always mining, they'll never research anything.
Yeah.
Because they prioritize the number. So it's like just more granularity would be great.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
It's just like a million little things. The combat is super fucking annoying. So like, so you have these characters and it's just like, they're just like walking like this. And what you can do is if you click on the guy, you have to recruit them, which basically means like stop what you're doing. You're in military mode.
Yep.
That stops them in their tracks, and they pull their gun out, and they're just like waiting for orders. So if you have a fight and you forget to unrecruit them, they'll just be standing there forever, and you'll be like, "Oh fuck! I just like wasted 3 days because Joe's standing there, and whatever." That really hasn't been that big of a deal, but I can see that being a sticking point for people. But so what you then do is when you right click on the person, the options that you get are fire at will. So when disabled, this character will not automatically shoot at ranged targets.
Okay.
Then you can say, okay, melee attack, which means you click melee attack, and then you have to hover over the person you want to attack and like click them.
Okay.
Or you can click on their gun and you can say shoot them. And when you click on the gun, it shows like the range, it's like a circle around them. But if they're like around the corner or like outside of the range, if they're outside of the range, I don't think you can choose it. And when you do fire, they just stand in place. They'll never move. And I want it to be like if someone's running away, I want to run until they're in range, shoot. Run until the range, right? That should be the default behavior. But instead, if I'm like, you shoot them, they'll go, bah, the person runs away and they just stand there. It's like, I want you to pursue them.
Attack. Yeah, pursue.
And then if someone gets reasonably close to you, which is every single animal is a melee.
Yeah.
They all get in your face. So there's fucking tigers and bears and fucking, alien insects and or half of the people who have knives.
Yep.
Your gun will not work. So if you say
barrel
shoot,
stuff you.
So if you say shoot at this guy, so you're like, real timing 17 guys, and then all of a sudden 2 guys come in on the guy just stands there. And, it's like, I want you to like back up and shoot. So what happens is the guy comes over and he punches you, and you might have level 0 melee and level 15 of 20.
Yeah.
Like shooting, it's like, I want you to fucking stand back and shoot them.
Yep.
If they get super close, they hit you and you're like, fuck, turn around and run, but you're like stunned. So like you can't get away, and then they just hit you. And then hit you, and it's like, well, now I'm a melee character. Now but you're gonna lose, because if it was an even fight, both full have HP, the moment you get hit, now you're stunned, and they have a higher melee skill, so you will lose the battle.
Yeah.
So then what happens is this guy gets downed, and then so someone needs to come and pick him up.
Yeah.
But then that guy gets hit, and then he gets down, and it's like there's just the way the fights go, dude. I had to save scum.
Yeah.
Every time, because here's what would happen. People would come in, my guys would be there, and I would say, okay, the timing of everything would be just right, and I would say, shoot, 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 and they go, oh, and first of all, you see the bullets, you see the guy running, and you see, and then you're getting hit. Dude, you shoot, and there's a 4-second delay while the people are like, and then the shooting, like their accuracy is terrible, even if they have high numbers. So you're always constantly, so you need to manually like micromanage, like attack and then right click to move. But if you right click to move, now they're no longer set to attack on the guy.
Yeah.
So then you need to, once they're done moving, you need to then click, 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 click for every fucking guy. God, it's so annoying. Yeah, there's just, I forget where I was going with that, but there's so many little things that's like, if all my guys are doing are fighting and working, you should be Johnny on the spot, have the fucking 11 out of 10 UX, UI.
Yeah.
Like, it should be flawless.
Yeah.
And the thing is that Factorio is like, it's just god tier when it comes to that kind of thing. They nailed it.
Yeah.
Even vanilla. And you can highlight all the things and do like Control C and then highlight a bunch of things and Control V, and it will like paste the configuration over completely. In this game, there's like other hotkeys, but it's like, I want Control C to work, and like, you know what I mean? Like stupid little things, you probably change it. But
I see what you mean. It's like with something like Factorio that embraces the modding community and like that kind of stuff, but doesn't rely on it for like a good experience. Like the vanilla experience is good. And I think, that makes a lot of sense. It's like, even if every single thing you brought up is fixable via a mod, that means the default position is like play the vanilla game, get so annoyed that you Google a fix for it and then find the fix. It's like the not being annoyed part like would be better to just like skip that. You know what I mean? Because not everybody will. Not everybody will go search the mods. You know what I mean? Some people will just like stop playing or refund the game or whatever. So yeah.
Oh yeah. So that's what I was saying. So every fight, like before the fight starts, I save the game. And then they either come in and I miss all my shots and all my guys just get down. And it's like, and you only have, like, I'm like deep in the game right now, and there's 3, 6, 9, 10. I have 11 characters. Yeah. And that's like a decent amount to manage. Yeah. You don't have hundreds of things. Like every character is like a thing you click on. They all like a name. Like you're really micromanaging a small kind of colony. Yeah. You're never gonna have like 1,000 units that you click in,
like 80 members.
I mean, to be fair, I don't know what the end game is. Yeah. So maybe the end game is like some crazy thing. I was led to believe that it's really not much more complicated than I have, than I've got here. But, so the fight is either over because you get owned because you guys miss all the shots and they just stab you to death, or they all cross and you go poof, and they all die, and then it's like, it was trivial. Yeah. And literally it'll be like 2 seconds of timing and standing 2 pixels over. But the difference between everyone dies and it was like not even close. Yeah. I'm just constantly like, the moment someone dies, I'm like, this is some like totally avoidable thing that I don't know. I just don't fully get. I got unlucky, or I don't understand why this happened the way it did. So I'm just gonna like save scum it.
I feel that. Yeah. Yeah, that's brutal.
But I did end up installing like 6 mods, and it made it a lot better. But yeah, there are still some pretty heinous things. The other thing is I don't exactly understand the like the mindset. I'm gonna pull this up so I can show you a visual.
Visual.
All right. Let's see here. Rimworld map. Rimworld. Yeah. I'm not going to be able to see like the full extent of it.
Yeah.
But so like this is like the top-down view.
Yeah.
Of what's going on. If you zoom out a tile, quote unquote, a tile might be like, let's just say this is one like unit.
Yeah. Okay.
It might be like 10 by 10. It's pretty big.
Gotcha.
Okay. So there's that. And that's already like really massive. You know, there's like trees and mountains and you got to mine through everything and you know. And then if you zoom out, this is what the map looks like. And that map that we were on is like this big. It's just a pixel. And there's like not really like vehicles.
Yeah, I was about to say, you don't really ever leave your tile, do you?
You do, but so there is and there isn't vehicles too, so it's complicated. But in the beginning, what ends up happening is like you get a quest and it's like you have to go, let's say this is where you are. You have to go, and this might be a mod. I've never seen some of these icons. Or maybe this is endgame, I don't know. But they're like, you have to go here.
Uh-huh.
So it might be like 11 tiles over.
Yep.
So, and they're like, we want you to come and deliver 5 helmets.
Yeah.
So you set your guy up to make 5 helmets, blah, blah, blah. Okay, you start doing that. Once you get it, what you need to do is you go to the map and you right click on one of the the colony.
Yep.
And then you click send caravan. And it says, okay, the total route time. So like while I'm looking at my screen right now, the total route time from where I am to the nearest camp is 2.1 days.
Okay.
So then you hit accept and it takes you to a screen where there's 3 tabs. There's people and animals, items, and travel supplies. So you need to determine which of your people are going to go on this trip.
Yep.
Which of your animals are going to go on this trip. So if you have like horses or donkeys, or those are like beasts of burden. So they have like inventories that can carry stuff, but they can also increase the speed that you move or decrease depending on what they are. But then those people and those characters, those animals, they need food and meds.
For the journey.
So, and this shit spoils in a couple of days. The normal stuff spoils really quickly. So if it's a 4-day round trip, you need to make sure that you have like at least 4 days. You probably want like 5 days worth of food that's going to last long enough. Okay. And then it's like, you then need to figure out like, okay, well, they also have trading there. So I'm probably going to want to take like all my jade and all my steel and all my
to see what you
joints that I can sell. So I need to like pack all that stuff up. And then you just hit send, and then it just becomes a dot on the map, and you just go back to controlling your main thing, but you're down 3 characters and 5 horses. Now sometimes they get attacked, and all that does is it spawns an instance of like the little map where then you like get in a fight, and it's usually like one guy with like an axe that you just shoot, and then it's like, okay, re-caravan up, take all your shit, do all this stuff all over again, because now you need to send a caravan from your current position to that thing, and it's just a dot. And then when you get there, it's like, okay, there's a trading menu, and then it's like, okay, now go back. And like your first few trips are like miserable because you don't have enough food, you didn't plan everything right, whatever, and it takes fucking forever. Even when you do, the speed is, there's 3 speeds. I don't know what they are. Like 1x, 2x, 10x, or something like that. I'm not sure. It takes like forever to get to one thing, to like the next place. And you there might be, when you look at when you actually like look at the map, this is a better example of what you'll see. The one I showed you, for some reason, I don't know what the fuck that was all about. This is a better example. No, so keep in mind, it's a whole planet.
Yeah.
Like, the scale, like,
yeah. So it's like, if
it
takes that long to get to the next town, like, what if you selected a colony on the other side of the continent?
So I just got to a point in the game where you can do these pods, and what they do is they effectively, you get in a pod and it like launches them. But I think, like, I don't know, I'm sure there's a meta. I'm sure there's a ton of like end game strats, whatever. I don't know, right? But what that means now is that, like, it's much easier. You instantaneously get, like 30 tiles away, but you need to also have like pods that have food, or maybe you put launching pods in the pod so that when you land, you can launch a pod back, because you still have to get back. So it's like, do you launch a pod with donkeys and food? And so the pod gets you halfway there, like, that's what I have to do now, because I don't really have enough gas and enough pods. So it's just weird. But there's like this weird element where it's like, you spend 98% of your time playing the game in a hexagon that's this big. So, like, let's say this is your starting square. It takes you like, maybe 10 minutes IRL time to get here.
Yeah.
And then 10 minutes to get back. This guy, and this guy won't trade with you. They all hate you by default. So you can go here or here. And these guys all hate you, so you can't go there, right? So it's like, okay, I go here, and like, here.
Yep.
But even then, when you go, it's just like, you can make like 1,000 silver and buy some stuff, but you're gonna buy shit that you pretty much have if you have like a decent. I don't understand.
Yeah, the scale of it.
What you want me to fucking do?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not sold on, at least with Factorio, it's like this linear.
Yeah, the different planets and stuff.
Approaching exponential. No, not before planets. Like, the vanilla game, just getting to the point where you launch, it's like a very coherent, very obvious, like, way to go. I understand this is not a logistics game. It's not an automation game. Yeah. It's like a story. What's really cool is the stories that happen where it's like, oh, a guy got in a fight with a girl, who he was married to, but she decided to dump him, and they got in a fight, and her dog bit his eye out. So now you have to get your surgeon to make a bionic eye for him. Otherwise, he's going to be depressed for the next month.
Yeah.
So, like, you get like really interesting, crazy dynamic stories. But it's like, and that's really cool, but it's at the expense of like interesting automate. It's not an automation game, but it's all automation.
Yeah.
You're automating what people are doing with resources. With a kind of a clunky, 75% thought out system.
Yeah. That's interesting.
I don't know. I ended up getting about 40, 50 hours in. I have like a really cool colony, and I literally just got like the pods to launch.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just got hit with why do I want to go anywhere?
Yeah.
Like, why do I want
to the existential, like, what am I doing? What am I working towards?
Yeah. So, and like, there might be really cool stuff in the end game.
Yeah.
But the game doesn't make it clear to me.
Yeah. What, like, you're working towards.
Why am I now there is a quest, and the quest is on one of the you have one master quest, and on one of the tiles on the planet, there is like a spaceship that'll get you off the planet. I assume later on you probably have the ability to like scan, and it takes a while to scan for the spaceship. Yeah. But then when the game described to me what that means, I'm sure some people would get like a fucking hard on for this. For me, I was like, oh, that's the end game? Yeah, I definitely don't want to get there.
Yeah.
What it says is, let's say you find this ship, at some point, today plus N days.
Yeah.
What you do is you then have to like activate it or something. And that what it does is it basically says, okay, you're going to leave, and I'm making up the details, but it's like you're going to leave in 10 days.
Okay.
In the meantime, the ship goes, I'm leaving in 10 days, planet. And everyone on the planet wants to get to the spaceship. So basically, they're like, the next 10 days are going to be fucking hell on Earth. You're going to constantly be getting attacked from everywhere, brutally, constantly by everyone all the time. So you better have like 9 years worth of guns and ammo and armor and, well, there's no ammo, but guns and armor and food and resources and, defenses and everything set up after you've moved all of your shit from like your home base to this place with the ship, just to then play defense, just to then, I'm like, I'm bored by like 3 people attacking my thing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the game is neat. I'm sure I'm going to get into it a bunch on and off. There might be times where I even get more into it and I'm willing to spend the time. But like right now,
I don't
know. I got like 50 hours in. I see what they're going for. I see the potential.
Yeah.
It's a really cool game, but there are just some fundamental things that make it kind of miserable.
Yeah, I feel that. Yeah, that like I can see this being a game. You just have to you have to really be wanting to play it. Like you learned a lot of the mechanics and you just hit that wall. I can see a couple months from now, you're bored, you don't have any games to play, and you're like, let me hop back in. And then you just kind of have like this renewed, you're like, okay, I'll install these 5 mods, and then boom, you're excited about it again. Like, yeah, I can see that for sure.
It's like the first 2 years in the game of playing.
Yeah.
Which is, like 10 hours or whatever, is like the best time. Like I'm at the point now where like I want to play again. I just want to start again.
Yeah.
And it's kind of was that way with Factorio.
Yep. I remember you kind of like almost got to the end and you were like, no, I got to do this again. And then you had like the time of your life doing it with everything you had learned.
Yeah. But that's because there's so much complexity, so much thought, but everything that you do to get there, like the game at no point gets in your way.
Yeah.
Everything is seamless and it's all like you're only held back by your planning. In this game, I'm constantly like clicking, like, why can't you do this thing?
Yeah.
Why are you not working? I'm like, okay, I want this guy to go tame this animal, but when I right click, nothing happens. Why? Why can't I do this? Why can't I haul this thing? Oh, well, it's because this character had this thing and this person was doing this thing and your shelves are all full and this animal carcass is rotting. So your character prioritizes another thing. So you can't grab the thing in front of you on the ground.
Oof.
So yeah, I'm just like desperate for something new. But luckily I'll be gone for a few days and hopefully I'll come back with kind of a renewed desire to play. But I think a lot of people would really love Rimworld. If you like Factorio, if you like Prison Architect, I think you would like this game.
Yeah.
Just be warned that it's not as smooth sailing as either of those games.
And be ready to scour the mods.
Yeah. And actually, you know what? Really quickly, what I'll say, just because people might get into it, they might ask. The mods I have, and you just go in. They're pretty easy to integrate.
Yeah.
You don't have to deal with like Nexus Mod Manager or whatever. It's all built into the Steam Workshop. I have adaptive storage framework, common sense, pick up and haul, replace stuff, allow tool, hugs lib, quality builder, and useful marks. So like common sense is literally. It's like the character's default behavior is not brain dead. So if there's like something they can do, it'll automatically do a thing. It'll prioritize something. The pick up and haul. Now what I do is there's hauling, but then there's high priority hauling. So I set that to really high on everyone. So now I can choose all of these rocks and say high priority. And then all of a sudden it's like everyone stops what they're doing, grabs all the things, get back to what they're doing. And it's like nice, but I still have to right click on every one individual. I can't find a way to like batch tasks.
Damn. That's cool.
Anyway, that's my rant.
Dude, I love it. I'm so interested. I'm only ever seen it kind of from the outside. It seems like a crazy game. And yeah, man, I mean, I can totally see it. All of that makes a lot of sense. Like that makes a lot of sense. Once again, I think that once you cross into like a logistics brain or simulation brain, you really need it to be intuitive. You know what I mean? Because you're making these game time decisions. And that's the point, right? Is the game time decision has consequences. Maybe a person dies and you're like, oh shit. And you kind of want to continue that story. You want that person to die because you're like, oh, I learned something. But if the game time decisions are when the game is like getting in your way, then it cheapens the experience because you're like, oh, that person died and it was completely avoidable. Like, yeah. So
yeah, the hard part of these games should be figuring out what to do, not figuring out how to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the problem. I'm sitting here with the game paused going, chat, how do I pick up a thing? It's not working. It shouldn't take me this long. You know what I mean? Like, so.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you know what? After we just talked about all of that and I'm looking at Rimworld, like, I think I might play for a little bit after.
Yeah, just see if the spark comes back.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Well, that's the stuff. That's the Rimworld. That's the Tarkov hardcore wipe. Good stuff. Dude, hope you have an awesome time in Chicago with the Bulls.
Hope Caitlin Clark is.
Oh my God! Yes,
this weekend
that would be so brutal.
She is hurt and she's out now.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Fingers crossed. But yeah, thank you guys as always for supporting. If you're interested, if you want more content like this, you can go to patreon.com/thepodcastpod and get access to early ad-free access to these episodes and even additional episodes we do just for you guys over there. Thank you to Ridge for sponsoring this episode, and we will definitely see you on the next one.
Happy 4th of July.